Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Nodwing Gaming Africa. My name is Dr. Sid, and I'm here with Snare and Actfire as we are bringing you the action from the hottest esports leagues on the African continent and indeed the world. Hi, guys. How are you doing? How's your week been? Snare, what did you get up to the whole week?
The whole week I was sort of betraying our FIFA brethren. I spent a lot of time in Dota. So I was off in the wilderness, out in the world, but I was doing that, came back, and I've been obviously sweating about not just this matchup, but the weekend's make games in the real world of football. So it's going to be a very stressful weekend of football for me. So when we get to Sunday, right, one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to be the happiest person ever on stream, or you're just going to have a cardboard cutout of me. So this might be the last time you see me happy for a while.
Actfire, I see you with the gold mic. How is it going over there? How are you feeling today? How has your week been so far?
Yeah, my week has been fantastic. I've been hosting Nodwin and constant preparation scrims to start in June 1st. Been getting to know the teams, been speaking to the leaders and all that stuff. And yeah, it's been fun. So yeah. That's
Super
just pretty much
exciting.
what my
Awesome.
week has been about.
Awesome. So I just want to remind everybody we are here at the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 playing for an amazing prize pool. Let's take a look at the prize pool of what's up for grabs in Season 3. As we can see, ladies and gentlemen, the Season 3 prize pool is 17,500 US dollars with $15,000 going to the PUBG tournament and $2,500 going to the FIFA 21 tournament. That is some big money out there, and it's bringing out the A game in our players at the Umzansi Esports League. Now, the schedule for today is very simple, very similar to what we've been doing all throughout last weekend. We're going to start with FIFA 21. We have two games back to back, home and away. Our two players are going to be competing. Let's take a look at the two players who will be competing today in the FIFA 21 tournament. Snare, do you want to tell us about these two guys?
So UnFaizdd, no secret, one of my favorite players, arguably my favorite player in the country. So he has been at the very top every single time he's found a way to get into the playoffs. He was the Season 1 champion overall, extremely skilled player. Bobo Beast has been on the come up. He was one of the first entrants to come up from Ngozi, and he's been looking very, very solid, very flairful player. Unfortunately for him, he's in a league with the really big dogs, so it's very difficult for him to truly make his mark felt. But more and more, I see this guy growing. I see him getting better. I see him more and more being able to actually challenge the upper echelons of the FIFA 21 world locally, and not just being an onlooker waiting to have his own opportunity.
Well, this is the matchup we're looking forward to for FIFA 21. And right after that, we will be jumping into the PUBG tournament with 3 maps played today in the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. There's a lot of action that you definitely do not want to miss. So very quickly, I want us to take a look at the leaderboards for the FIFA 21 tournament, and let's see what's happening with the teams who played last. And Actfire, do you want to talk us through the leaderboards?
Yeah, so we got Devak in first place with 3 points, and we got Masum also with his own 3 points. We got UnFaizdd with 3 points, and I mean these three guys look like they're absolute beasts. We got Bobo Beast we haven't seen yet in the tournament, but also like Snare said, coming up from Nkosi, we're going to see a lot of lovely gameplay from him. We got the Beast Bachi also in 5th place. We got Young Savage, who did impress me against UnFaizdd in 6th place. And we got Mayhem and Mobizilla in last place, who will be looking to sort of like make up for the losses that they had in their first games. Yeah.
So obviously, look at FIFA 21. We've seen a lot of amazing gameplay, varying styles. Some people who have decided to take it easy in the first match and then go ham in the second match. Snare, what would your advice be for Bobo Beast, obviously taking on UnFaizdd today? What kind of matchup do you think this is going to be? What kind of tactics do you think he's going to employ? The game is just about to start, so if you just give us that introduction, then we'll jump into the match.
So the thing about Bobo, we were talking about it last week, right? About the different approaches you can bring to the game if you're the underdog. Unfortunately for Bobo, he's playing the worst opponents to play it safe against because UnFaizdd tends to get better as the matchup goes. He adapts, figures out your style, and is able to exploit it quite easily. So against him, you definitely want to get yourself as far ahead as humanly possible. He's still going to be able to come back. We've literally seen UnFaizdd come back from 4-0 scenarios to win out games like that. So against him, score as much as you can early because goals are coming. Then he will be figured out. The only question is, can he figure you out in time before you're able to really put him to bed? So for Bobo, blazing, there's no other option because if you try to play this slow, UnFaizdd will beat you, guaranteed.
Well, let's jump straight into the match. It is a Bobo Beast taking on UnFaizdd. This is the Northern Esports League Season 3. If you are not following Northern Gaming's and London socials, you need to do so right now to get information and stay up to date on all the action coming out of the league. We are going to head to the stadium right now and see the gameplay between both players while I leave you in the very, very capable hands of Actfire and Snare.
No.
Actfire and Snare, I've just been told that the players aren't quite ready yet. Oh, there we go.
But we are. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So
Yeah, it'll be fine.
That's why you already mentioned that you were impressed by the show that we got to see from Young Savage last time around. We have another young player going up against UnFaizdd. UnFaizdd, I will admit that the first time around that we saw him here, well, not the best performance from him. Not at least the heights that we've seen him reach before. But against another youngster, do you think he's going to play it safe again? Or do you think this time around he's feeling already settled and he comes out the gate swinging himself?
I mean, coming off from a win in the first game, definitely you do expect him to come out swinging in this particular one. And he has less risk now because he's won his first game. So he can go all out and just push against the underdog and try to just hit the nail on the coffin. I mean, he doesn't have to hold back and be careful. So I mean, it's left for Bobo Beast to show us his gameplay and try to push forward, either on the counter attack or just keep the pressure on to face. Yeah.
As we see now, the game is underway, and early goal might have just happened. Fortunately, UnFaizdd does manage to keep things in possession. It doesn't manage to get a goal though because Bobo Beast was on point. With this Ultimate Team, so we're going to be seeing a lot of Mendy's from a lot of these teams. Goal might actually happen. It's Messi targeted in the middle and Bobo Beast. Okay, this is exactly what we wanted to see, Tony. Actfire, this is what we wanted. Good, early goal.
Exactly. That's exactly what we wanted to see. We wanted to see Bobo Beast come all out and find a way to get those balls in the nets. Remember what we said last week? You know, it's all about taking your chances, getting those goals. You know, Savage sort of had that problem last week where he was creating chances, but he was missing them. And yeah, so Bobo Beast able to take those chances definitely shows that he's ready for this match. He's got the sharpness that he takes, and yeah, he's shown it right now. He has that lead. So yeah, let's see if he can build up on it.
Let's hope he can keep it as well because now he's taking a lot of aggression coming in. Atal back in possession. Atal going on the turnaround. Get the goal. We've seen this Atal be super effective. Again, he's back. This is the issue. UnFaizdd lives up to the name because you score a goal against him. Does he care? Nope. He's fine.
No, he doesn't. He'll come back at you again and again and again and again. That's what experience gives. You see, he's just playing his game. He doesn't shake. He's basically unfazed.
Living up to the name here, bringing the game back down to even. Something that we're seeing that's interesting is that Bobo Beast does not have either Atal or CR7 up front. He has Messi in tandem with him. So we're not really seeing Messi all that much in Ultimate Team. People prefer the pace of your Mbappes, your Ronaldos, your Atals. However, when it comes to just pure proficiency in terms of I will get in the net if given a chance, Messi's pretty much number one. So get the ball to him as often as possible. Could get more goals coming out. Messi trying now for the dribbles. Not dispossessed just yet. Is this going to be the second goal? Bobo looking for it, but João Cancelo will force this out for a corner kick.
Yeah, I think what Bobo is trying to do is to use Messi as that player who sort of like holds up the ball, creates chances, and also when he gets into those nice positions, it's very effective to get those goals because that's exactly what he needs to be. He needs to be clinical with his goals, and yeah, I think that's definitely a strategic decision for him.
Didn't work out for him in that play, unfortunately, and now we see UnFaizdd making a run deep on the flanks with Mendy. Will this turn into goal opportunity here? Gets the pass forward down onto Mbappe. Bruno Fernandes passing it back, still holding this. And the opportunities are coming up because we see him pushing up several of his players here. UnFaizdd really wants to get this goal. He gets it back to Neymar with the goal. Lots it around the keeper.
Oh my goodness.
Finds the shot, finds the goal. What a player.
Neymar.
What a player.
He's showing exactly why he is a champion. Right there. That's it.
That was incredible. That was incredible to watch.
That's it right there.
Suddenly it's 2-1.
Suddenly it is. We always talk about this. It just seems like you touch the beast still, he comes back at you, and he's like, oh, you dare score me? You dare score me? All right. All right.
Like, who's scoring who in this situation, huh? Like, take your chances if you dare. And now, back on the attack, Mbappe. This is going to be Bobo Beast searching for the equalizer. Been a very tight game so far, and he hasn't been ran over by UnFaizdd. Despite the fact that he's behind on goals, he's still playing very competitively. Messi back in possession, playing dangerously in the final third. The only issue is that getting past this UnFaizdd defense, it proves to be difficult for Young Savage. It's proving to be difficult here again for Bobo. Just get a deep pass, but Rafa Varane in position, snuffs it out, and there will be no goal here.
Yeah, you can definitely see that Bobo Beast is having like a tough one, breaking out that defense. I feel like UnFaizdd has sort of like tightened up his defense compared to the first week, where there was some spaces in between. And yeah, I just feel like he's a little bit more composed right now when it comes to that defense. It could also be a thing where he's a bit more relaxed about his position within the match, having scored that second goal. So yeah.
Not playing with nearly as much pressure against them, and now making deep runs. Vieira on the ball. Love the inclusion of these classic players from a lot of these squads. Vieira and Essien are the common ones, but every now and then we do see a Cantona or two. Moving up, Atal. Will he find Messi again? He's posted up, waiting for the ball. Not able to open up the space just yet. He's being very patient on the side of Bobo. Gets it down to Atal. He's holding it up, being very strong, not being muscled off this ball at all. And these three players keeping this pressure up. Eventually they involve Neymar again. This might be the chance. Neymar looking for these skill moves. Gets the dribble deep into the box. Can he get across the touchline? No, he cannot. Bruno Fernandes.
That was close.
Woo.
He's trying everything at this particular point to break down that defense, but man, UnFaizdd is giving him so little space to work with.
Yeah. Just keeping him locked. It's 2-1 right now. I doubt we'll see any changes here to either player's shape or any players on the field right now. I think it is still okay. Like Bobo, given the fact that he's down 2-1, right? I don't think he should feel too bad about the game. He's had most of the possession. He's found a lot of key passes. He spent most of this half, in fact, in attacking positions relative to UnFaizdd. It's just the case that UnFaizdd made extremely good use of his opportunities. But if Bobo can keep this up, eventually a goal will come out here, Akfire.
Yeah, exactly. If he can keep it up, I mean, he showed and he's positioned his players in such a way that they're extremely clinical. So if he gets in the back of that, if he gets in the face of the keeper, he might just get a goal. And we know he can't create those chances. So let's see how it goes. Ooh.
Oh, that was so sad. The touch a little bit too heavy from Atal, so instead of being able to swivel past the defender, gets just instead. And this resets the game for UnFaizdd. Can now start to look for his own attack. We've seen that UnFaizdd, despite having very little to say on the ball itself, when he does have the ball, there's a lot to do with it. So every time he's in possession, he feels like a threat. Moving the ball up right now. Bruno Fernandes, the interplay between him and Bulayo. Unexposed space on the flank, but Bobo is having none of it. The shape defensively is holding, and there is no opportunity to get past it just yet.
Yeah, it does seem like he almost has 6 defenders right there. He's got 2 defensive midfielders who are just covering up for those 4 defenders at the back. But, wow!
What just happened? Okay. Mad scramble in the box, but it ends up going in Bobo's favor. Gets called as a foul. Oh my god, I can just imagine his heart rate right now. Just be like, oh my goodness, how on earth is that not a goal?
Oh wow, that was so close.
Still on phase, managed to keep possession. Back with Bruno Fernandes looking for a way forward. Neymar, oof. The pass to Atal doesn't land. Atal still able to chase the ball down though, regaining possession. Looking for a way to pierce this defense. But like you mentioned, with the two DMs right in front of the back four, preventing any real aggressive moves down the middle. So he has to try and approach it from the flank. Still very difficult between Mendy on the one side and Cancelo on the other. These crosses are just never going to come in easily.
Yeah, the amount of bodies that Bobo has in that defense is making it really hard for UnFaizdd to break through, which is sort of keeping those possessions for Bobo. He sort of quickly wins that ball back, but it's also might be affecting his attack when he goes forward. Does he have enough bodies to create those chances? That's left to be seen. Yeah.
Game has been a little bit slower here in the second half. None of these attacks have proven to amount to too much. Varane trying to get the ball out. Let's get blocked off by Mbappe. So they'll force a more aggressive clearance from the keeper. Still a lead for UnFaizdd, but he won't be very happy with this. You were mentioning that he might be warmed up, but I think he'll not be feeling like he's fully warmed up just yet off the basis of this performance. Nice interception. Recycles the ball back into the feet of Bobo. He now passes it to Neymar.
This looks
this
like
might be dangerous.
Be a good chance.
Trying to get it forward to Messi. Messi doesn't get the ball initially, but able to get the dispossession. Gets it again. Back to Neymar. This is a golden chance for Bobo. Can he get this? Pass snatched out of the air by Edison, so there will be no goal.
Dude, that was absolutely a very dangerous position to be in. UnFaizdd was pretty lucky there. Slim margins for him.
Try and make it with a run here. The way the game is right now, given that the time is ticking down, do you think Bobo should start considering making any substitutions, or should he just hold to his guns and feel like he'll try to go for a late game equalizer?
Just as you said, it definitely making those subs is a move that he should be making right now.
See if he's going to make any changes on the side now of UnFaizdd. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. We shall see what the decision is going to be here from Bobo Beast. A lot of stamina has been used up. We don't know who's sitting on the bench. This is the one drawback of Ultimate Team versus regular play. Not as much squad depth as usual.
Yeah.
And he's going to bring in Carrasco to replace Mbappe. He's been doing quite a lot, but not really able to find a successful position to run it home into the back of the net. Will this work out here, Agfire? What do you think? Is Carrasco the man, or should he have stuck it out with Mbappe?
I personally would have stuck it out with Mbappe because of his raw pace. But maybe the tired legs, just leaves him no choice. So yeah, it's a gamble that may or may not pay out. You never know.
Try now, pushing up very far with Cancelo as well, overlapping on the run with the fullback. Carrasco surprised us.
It worked.
Neymar gets the goal. It worked.
It worked.
I think the real genius play there, the overlapping run with Cancelo, was just super aggressive, very risky, high risk, high reward. If that fails, suddenly the aggressive flank moves that UnFaizdd has been trying to make all match can work out, but it doesn't. Night Fire, we've got a 2-2 game on our hands now.
Oh man, this must be really tough for UnFaizdd, who seem to have been calm, throughout. Let's see what he gives us, because this is the moments where he sort of shines and brings out his A game when he's back to the wall. So let's see what he does now.
Dying moments of the game, looking for a chance to slot this in, get the winning goal. On either side will do the trick. Ooh, he gets prevented from getting the shot off. Now he has to be a bit worried, because as much as it's true that one goal from him probably wins the game, the same is also true on the other end. Now Bobo back on possession, looking for a forward run. He'll probably be happy taking away a draw from game one against UnFaizdd, But this is FIFA. Nobody's here out of the draw. And now Carrasco deep in space from the
This
deep
looks
pass. Can he get
dangerous.
the goal?
Oh!
No! The post denies Bobo Beast. He's not denied just yet though. He's still back in possession. Oh my gosh. Fire. What a time. How could that happen?
Oh my goodness. That was so close.
Fortunately, Kyle Walker will be ahead of the ball to prevent Neymar from being able to get a counter goal. Dangerous run from Edison playing on the feet. Could be exploited now. Atal doesn't get Neymar, but a mistaken pass here from Kyle Walker. This could be really, really dangerous. UnFaizdd, this is the last play of the game. Only 1 minute of stoppage time. This is either a goal or a draw. What's it gonna be? It's gonna be a goal! UnFaizdd! In stoppage time with Atal in the top corner. Gets the 3-2 victory. What a player.
Oh my goodness, exactly what we say all the time. Just when you think he's backed up to the wall, he's got nothing up his sleeves, he just takes it, relaxes, and just finishes off his opponent.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Oh, Bobo did absolutely everything he possibly could. What more could Bobo have done in that situation? What are you supposed to do?
I really feel for Bobo. I feel like there's nothing else he could have done. It was just down to luck at the end of the day. Because, I mean, that ball that hit the post could have entirely just changed the game if it had gone into the net. So yeah, there's nothing. I mean, with Savage, I could have said, oh, you could have defended more. You could have done more. You could have, held the position more. But with Bobo, he did everything right. His defense was great. When he had like 4 people at the back, he had 2 defensive midfielders. I mean, it just every single goal that UnFaizdd scored, you could see that it was absolute brilliance. It was not down to any mistake from Bobo's side. So I don't know what he could have done. I really don't know. I don't see it. Do you?
This is one of the things that you were talking about last week, right? About the matchup between the experienced veteran and the new kid on the block. Is that even if it's close in skill, the experienced player always has that additional edge, right? That way to win the game that the other player just doesn't. Like, we can imagine Bobo should have scored that goal, and that was the golden opportunity, right? However, neither of us really felt that it was a guarantee that a third goal was going to come from Bobo. It was like, oh, this chance was gone. Now it's about, can you stop UnFaizdd from scoring it? Because in the dying moments of a game, like you mentioned, when he has his back against the wall, you expect UnFaizdd in that situation to do the most, and he does. So what do you do against this? How do you deal? Because now I think UnFaizdd has probably figured you out a bit as well going into the second game.
Yeah. I mean, just before that third goal got in, I was beginning to feel like Bobo was also, understanding UnFaizdd the way he attacked, more. But it just feels like UnFaizdd always has like a trick up his sleeve. He always has like something extra to bring in. Just when you think you figured him out, he makes, some incredible passages, chips it into the back of the net quite quickly before Bobo could react. So I mean, how do you prepare for stuff like that? How do you plan? Like I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just fast.
Like, you make no mistakes, but you lose anyway. You've done nothing wrong.
Yeah,
you played the game as best as you could, and now you have to go into this. Because we also talk about FIFA also being an emotional and momentum-based game, right? And now the momentum is decided in favor of UnFaizdd, not just because he won, but because he won at the end. When you're able to do that, and he felt like it was somewhat inevitable. So now you're going to the second game, right? If you're Bobo, you're asking, how many goals must I score against this guy before I feel safe, before I feel comfortable? Will it have to be 3 or 4 extra? Otherwise, if there's a slim margin, suddenly I'm scared he comes back.
Yeah, definitely like 5 goals. You need to score 5 goals. Be like 5 goals ahead. So when he's coming back, yeah.
So we'll see if he can score those 5 goals as we go now into the second game. UnFaizdd versus the Bobo Beast, the mini beast, not the Julio version. We'll see if he can live up though to the moniker. Here he really wants to win. UnFaizdd though. Alright, that was actually really good. I think if that goes through, that's probably a goal, but it's very important, I think, psychologically for Bobo to be the first one to score a goal in game 2.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm hoping to see him sort of come back into this game. It'll be nice to see a surprise because I do love an underdog.
Oh,
wow.
What a pass. What a save as well. Edison coming out from the post, but now the deeper pass from Neymar to Atal.
Oh,
will never miss. Deep searching passes from both sides.
Wow.
My goodness. Alright, this is literally when skill is equal, experience makes a difference, because almost the exact same play from these players. Bobo Beast tries it first, and UnFaizdd says, my boy, let me show you how it's done, and gets a goal off of it.
Yeah, and this is what we always say about FIFA. You know, it's all about taking your chances when you have them, however slim they are. You know, the better skill, you know, the players have, you know, this slimmer the chances are going to be. So you got to be able to take those chances, even when it looks, you know, like you just have like a very, very, very tiny space to work with.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So, and that's what UnFaizdd does. That's what he does. You know.
UnFaizdd, 1 goal up right now. Atal yet again being heroic for him. Looking for more goals right now. Mbappe pass deep into Mendy. Made this forward run. Can he find another player? The pass goes errantly. So Bruno Fernandes able to scoop this one up and try run it back on the other side. We've seen Bobo go for this really searching deep pass onto the flank like twice now. And although the player gets onto the other side of the ball, it feels like it breaks down when it comes to actually getting through the defense. Laya now gets the ball back onto Atal. Mbappe running with it. Goal might come from this. There's a lot of space for Neymar. Neymar! Oh my god! What?
Oh my goodness. This particular one, I actually watched as the attack was building up slowly. And what I could see was he was just waiting for that perfect moment when Neymar would make that run. And you know, just slice the entire team. UnFaizdd is a master at taking you know those chances there.
And now it is looking like, I was saying just in the pre-game that I was worried that he's figured out Bobo. It's looking more and more the case that each time Bobo will make this run, this time it gets a bit deeper than normal, but he's still being very heavily crowded out. Can make no progressive passes with this, has to recycle it back into the deeper lying midfielders. If he doesn't score a goal soon, UnFaizdd is looking like he's on track to score a goal every single time he gets a touch on the ball. Atal though, deep dribbles in the box, gets past 3 players, but not past Edison.
Yeah, definitely. It does seem like UnFaizdd has sort of like figured out how to break, you know, the defense from Bobo Beast, but it could also mean that, you know, Bobo Beast is a bit more, should I say, he's attacking more now. He's a bit more desperate, and yeah, that has sort of like broken his discipline, you know, in his defense so far.
Yeah, that's actually a crucially important point. The discipline necessary to keep a clean sheet and to keep a game in manageable distance is sometimes in tension with the tension you need to just push the game forward as hard as humanly possible. We'll see if he can manage that in this game. And now he's trying for his first goal. Offside, Bruno Fernandes. Feels bad. I wish in real life he got as many offside flags as he gets in FIFA, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I really do feel for Bobo because this game doesn't reflect anyway the amount of effort that he did put in the first game. But oh my goodness, UnFaizdd is just going at it at this particular point in time and just hitting the nail on the coffin.
That goal felt almost lazy from UnFaizdd. He just slowly rolled it onto the side, gets in the cross. It's an easy goal. Atal with the brace. And UnFaizdd just right now is cruising to victory. This is still the first half. He was held to 3 goals inside the entirety of the first game. But in the first half, he's able to get that tally, and it's not looking like he's prepared to stop. Ball back onto Bruno Fernandes, Neymar.
Yeah, it does feel like every single time he has attacked and gotten into that final third, he has gotten a goal in this half. Like, once he gets into that final third, it has been a goal. So, will this be another goal?
Everybody rooting for now will be hoping that this is not the case. And it does seem like he's at least forced this to be a slow-moving attack here. Hasn't managed the dispossession, which is the only way to be safe from UnFaizdd. Referee! Free kick. Not the best position, but still a little bit dangerous. Let's see the shot. What? Atal!
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Remember how every single time he had. Oh! Wow!
Oof, oof, oof. This time around, he doesn't need... Like, he doesn't get it from the direct perfection of play, but even from piece. Now that's gonna really mess with you as Bobo, right? Because sometimes, let's be honest, all FIFA players, when things start to get really dangerous, you consider, well, maybe this guy's not that good at his set pieces. Maybe I foul him here or there to try and prevent him getting into the box. But now, if he's able to score from that position as well, what on earth are you supposed to do? Got now a lot of movement happening from Bobo. He's going to try to do his best. The attempt to win this game out. But a lot to do in the second half. 4 goals already been scored by UnFaizdd. Looking for the opportunity to get more right now. You mentioned how if he gets in the final third, it tends to be a goal. He's going to look for that again. Belaya in the box. Oof! Varane good on the tackle. Forces him away, and there will not be a goal. That's a deadly first half. That's an incredible first half here. UnFaizdd in a situation where he is, for the most part, going to be finding himself just needing to keep this game as it is. Doesn't need to make any aggressive changes. If he does have to make those aggressive changes, then he's probably just going to get more goals. But he's fully satisfied with the nature of the game right now. Bobo, a lot to go for him. Often the consideration is that, well, if the opponent could score 4 goals, then I can do the same in a similar amount of time. The question is whether or not he can achieve that. It's now second half underway. He's in possession. Had a lot of possession in game 1, but couldn't really convert it into a victory. This time around, still has a lot of possession. He's going decidedly the opposite direction. Undisputed forces a corner. It's taken by Messi, and I think Edison gets on top of this. It's punched away deep into the midfield. And Natal prevents this from getting out, but actually just earns a throw and even better. And reset the play, get your forwards. We already see Mendy looking for the overlapping run. Some of these fullbacks in FIFA 21 are a little bit crazy, a little bit insane. Run. Get the ball to Messi. Okay, this might be an opportunity. The interplay between him and Natal seeming good. There's a lot of promise in this movement. Mbappe on the ball. Mbappe with the dribbles. Can Mbappe find a way through? No, he cannot. The shot, fortunately for him, getting blocked off by Wan-Bissaka, and there will be no approach. And you know what that means? We all know what that means. In the world with UnFaizdd, that means an attack is incoming. It's going to try now for yet another goal. Natal gets it back to Bruno Fernandes, but UnFaizdd finds himself not able to score with Natal. Oh, wait, they actually regains possession. Something we haven't really discussed here in Season 3. In Season 1 and 2, UnFaizd's specialty was losing possession and instantly claiming it back and turning that into more forward momentum. He's showing us that skill here again. Didn't turn into a goal. And unfortunately, with now back on it, will he find his first goal? Does not want to have to give up an entire game without scoring a single goal. At least once won, but now might be dealing with 5 against him. Neymar, deep pass, gets on top of it. Deep run from Kyle Walker to try to close this gap. The tackle doesn't dispossess him, but gives enough block that the ball itself cannot go cleanly into the box. Still held at 4. No goals just yet in the second half, which is good news for Bobo. UnFaizdd doesn't need those goals though, so all good from his end. What can he do here, Agfire? He needs a way to get this goal, but seems like UnFaizdd is pretty much prepared for everything he has to throw at the board.
Yeah, definitely. It does feel like UnFaizdd is ready for his every single move. And yeah, he's just trying to prevent. But is this going to be that chance that he needs? I don't know.
Damn. Unfortunate scenario there. Just gets blocked out. And UnFaizdd doesn't have to do anything crazy, right? He can just keep trying for these crazy passes though, because if it works, great. I score a cool looking goal. If it doesn't work, great. I'm still defending at 4-0 ahead. And even if I get 4 goals conceded, I still have a 1-goal advantage from game 1. So everything's fine. Well, this might be the goal that comes though. Ball finds Bruno Fernandes and Messi, the recipient of an assist, and finally, whew, Bobo Needed that to happen.
Finally able to get that chance. Yeah.
The question is, like, Fire, do you think he gets more out of this, right? Or is this just going to be a flash in the pan? Just, yay, we get something back? Or do we have the makings of a comeback coming in right now from the young man?
I think he's definitely going to try to come back as much as possible. But, I mean, being 4 goals behind overall on aggregates, it is going to be really tough for him.
Attempt it now, but at least has cut the gold lead a little bit. Gold leads of 4 are impossible. Not fully impossible, but 5 is impossible. 4 is like major challenge. 3 is dealable. Well, not gonna get the chance now as Varane forces yet another corner. We'll see if Messi, in tandem with Neymar, can make something happen here. Run through. Atal does get inside the box. Ball, no, gets dispossessed. Man, Mendy. There's a reason why all of these top tier players include him in their ultimate teams. You should as well. What a presence here on the left back.
Yeah, definitely one right there. As you can see, Bobo is trying as much as possible to get, the goals at the back of the net. He wants to put in that pressure right now, but yeah, UnFaizdd may just, still have some tricks up his sleeve and even create more of a dent, on the scoreline right there.
See the attempt now as he's also going for a deep overlapping run with Cancelo. Mendy was to great effect earlier with the same approach. Thus far, in the second half, his moves into this final third have not netted him goals, so Bobo has adapted. Will feel a bit hard done by that. His adaptation has come a bit too late.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's gonna feel like he sort of like understands the defense understands the attack from UnFaizdd a bit too late. But it may not even be that. It may just be UnFaizdd just holding up the pressure for now and bringing 1 or 2 tricks out of his playbook when he needs it. I mean, he's 4 goals ahead, so he doesn't need to pile up the pressure as much. He just needs to hold up.
But what about destroying your enemies and humiliating them and making sure they never want to play FIFA again? Isn't that what the spirit of competition is all about? That's what happens whenever I play FIFA against these guys. I never want to play FIFA again. But usually they score like 10, 20 goals all the time.
Damn. Exactly. But you also want to make sure that you control the game. You keep, because, for at this level, scoring 4 goals within a particular half is not impossible. So he also wants to make sure like he keeps control. He keeps possession and gets that win at the end of the day. So that's exactly what he's done. He's been composed like he was, even more than he was in the first game against Savage. He gets that win overall here.
Well, you see that it seems to be sort of dealing with this really well. Comes across these both legs. First leg, similar style to last week, feeling out his opponent. Second one, demolishes him. And he holds up the pressure, gets the 4-1 victory, and secures himself a massive win here in the series overall. Big goal lead, which will be very beneficial. As we get later and later into the season, the nature of the goals you scored does start to matter. And FaZe will be very happy to be able to slot them through so easily. I think as well, he should be happy about like his performance, because he did a lot of different things, right? Somewhat conservative in the first matchup, very explosive in half one, but then again dips easily without even missing a beat back into that conservativeness of the first game again.
Yo, I was just very relaxed right there because I literally just watched the masterclass in FIFA 21. The first game was very interesting for me because I saw Bobo Beast come through feeling the confidence and going ham and going straight at UnFaizdd and thinking that, you know what, he's got this in the bag, and then UnFaizdd in his usual behavior comes through in the second game with an absolute thrashing. Axfire, what was your highlight of those 2 games?
It was definitely still for me in the first leg when he got that 3rd goal in the final minute. I mean, UnFaizdd just showing who he is, and I'm not sure if I'm going to call it luck or just being the master that he is and taking all his chances. But yeah, he definitely has showed why he is number one right there.
And Snare, what was your highlights of both matches?
So my highlight, like I said, my favorite player is UnFaizdd, so I expect him to win. If he's not winning, I'm disappointed. Me, I have like a sort of shared highlight in a way. I couldn't choose between number one. The first one was that play at the beginning of game 2 with the one super deep pass from Bobo, which looked like it was gonna be a goal, doesn't end up happening, gets defended by UnFaizdd, who does literally the mirror opposite of the play and gets the goal instead. That was like, okay, that was kind of right. That was like the dirt off your shoulder. Boy, let me show you what's up. But honestly, I think one of my favorite highlights though was also the goal that came in from Bobo very early on, at the very beginning of the matchup, right? We knew that he had to come out swinging. It showed that he understood as well. He understood his position in this matchup, and he did it. Great goal from him. Unfortunately, not enough to take down the King, and UnFaizdd 7-3 with the series victory here.
7-3. That is a huge lead and quite a bit of goal difference to take into the leaderboard, which puts him sitting nicely and in a good position to obviously qualify for the finals in the later stages of the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 by Northern Gaming. Look at the table. Akfire, talk us through this. Obviously, we see UnFaizdd in pole position, winning almost all his matches. What do you have to say about this table?
Definitely, it's deserved. UnFaizdd being on top right there. I'd love to see him go up against Masum or Devak and see how he does perform against the two. But I mean, looking at the various players that we've watched so far, he definitely is, at the top of his game. He's definitely one of the best players. So yeah, it's well deserved for UnFaizdd, right there at the top.
Obviously, I can tell that we can't wait for some of our high profile matches. Obviously, matches between UnFaizdd and Devak. I'm assuming guys who have won the previous matches. So obviously, looking at this leaderboard, it is exciting. It is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. We have just had 2 amazing matches in FIFA 21, but there is still more action to come. Snare, looking at the leaderboard, we have, I think, one player who hasn't competed, who hasn't played a match yet. And, the stage is set for him to literally come through and either shake up the table or fall into the bottom parts of the table. And I'm super excited to see what happens when we go back to FIFA tomorrow. But I want to say big shout out to you guys. This has been the FIFA tournament at the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Northern Gaming. My name is Dr. Sid, here with Snare and Agfire, and we will be right back after the break with more esports action right here. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world watching right now, this is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Nodwin Gaming Africa. If you are not chilling or following us on all our social media, you need to be doing so right now. My name is Dr. Sid. I'm here with two of my best pals when it comes to PUBG Mobile, Rian DK Pelser and Bradford Pachi Crofton Mall. Boys, what's happening? How are we doing today? How are you guys feeling? It's been 6 days since I last seen you. I'm super excited. DK, what's popping?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. You know, just grinding, getting stuff done, and super excited to get into today to see what the teams are going to get up to. And of course, expecting some spicy action to come in.
Pachi, how are you, bro?
Yeah, man, I'm ready to get into that PUBG action, dude. I'm ready to see these teams go at it as per usual. I mean, we got a little bit of a warm up, but it's still the beginning of the season. We're still getting there. I want to see which teams are going to be setting themselves on fire this time around. You know, let's get things heated up straight off the bat.
Ladies and gentlemen, we know that this is the Season 3 prize pool. It is $17,500 with $2,500 going to the FIFA winners, and the prize pool for PUBG Mobile is a whopping $15,000, which means these teams on this league have to bring their A game every single time. Now, we had amazing games in our opening weekend last weekend. Today we continue, but first of all, let's take a look at the current standings of the overall leaderboards to see what's happening in the league.
Yeah, this is an interesting one to go into. This is going to sort of start to build our story for the season. Right now, at the moment, we've got Slime 4KT sitting at the top with 101 points. So quite a considerable amount going for them, followed by Rain from Hell in that second slot with 86 points. And then, of course, Sincerity with 71 in that third place. Definitely a team that has come up and surprised quite a few people. So that is definitely a team I'm going to be keeping my eye on to see where they go. Of course, moving down from the top three into that fourth slot is Undisputed AE with 64 points. We've got NFxUNIQUE in fifth place with 54, Spaza 6 in sixth with 46, and Zero Tolerance Skills at seventh with 45, and very closely followed by Immortalz in eighth place with 44. So those last three positions there on the 6th, 7th, and 8th place are quite close.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty interesting day getting into these matches. And of course, as we move on to that second page, you can see the players there from Ultra 6 currently sitting in 9th place on 40 points. We have the Outsiders officials over in 10th place on a 39. Then, of course, G3 Temper in 11th on 37 points. We've got Citizens Gaming in 12th place on 36 points. We've got Aphelion Apex in 13th place on 34 points. We've got the Young Thunder team over in 14th, also sitting on 34. Then, of course, Black Clover's 15th place, 29 points. And the team from Fear over in 16th place on 29 points as well.
Yeah, and then of course moving on to that third page, 17th spot, we've got the Euphoric Gods with 27, followed closely by the Drogons in 18th place with that 26. And then of course 22 points each for Pain, Not Gaming, and Natural Killers sitting in 19, 20, and 21 position. We've got 18 points for Influence Rage Africa in 22nd. We've got Lag Esports sitting on the 17 points in 23rd. And BBC taking up that 24th slot also with 17 points.
Now, let's quickly take a look at the squads. I want to just, run through the leaderboard, but very quickly take a look at the squads that are going to be playing today. Because, I mean, it's nice to see the leaderboard and the guys at the bottom and the guys at the top, but there are some really, really hot teams in Group B and versus Group C that are playing today. And I want to talk us through these teams that are going to be competing today.
Well, of course, you can see we've got the players coming in from Influence Rage. We've got the team there from Zero Tolerance Skills. We've got BBC. We have the Immortalz. We've got G3 Temper, Not Gaming, as well as the players from Rainbow Six. So this is making up the teams in our Group B segment. But of course, they're going to be going up against the Group C team. So I'm really interested to see exactly what these teams are going to be doing. And of course, speaking of those teams, we move over towards the Group C ones. As you can see, that is, of course, the players from Gamers Unite Nations. That is Lag Esports, the Comfy Cartel, Pain Africa, the Drogons, the Nibble Esports team, the Natural Killers, and then, of course, the players there from Toxic Esports. So I think that today is going to be an especially interesting day to see what these players will be doing and how these teams are going to be performing, because as we saw now on the overall standings, not a lot of these teams are high up on that leaderboard, so they definitely have that opportunity today to come in with those performances and catapult themselves up the overall standings.
Wow. I'm super excited because I'm thinking right now, personally for me, one of the things that I'm super excited about when I look at the leaderboard and the teams coming through is the diversity and the distribution of African countries being represented. And I always like to say this every single day. This just shows that the growth of esports on the African continent, and Northern Gaming doing their best to make sure that these talents are exposed to the rest of the world. Now, I personally am looking out for teams like Pain from Somalia, because I think when those teams come through and showcase that they do have an opportunity to go toe to toe with the countries from Nigeria, from Ghana, from South Africa, even Madagascar and Mauritius are fully represented in this tournament. So this is the beauty of African esports, and the excitement is about to go off. But I want to say, we do have our 3 maps: Sandhawk, Erangel, and Miramar, and the varying play styles. I think we've only had one team that has won on 2 maps on any particular given day. It's been I think that was Sincerity who won 2 maps on a particular day. We've had teams win the chicken dinners on 2 different days, but on the same day to show that level of consistency. Now, DK, my question for you is, a lot of people don't really rate, especially in the African continent, don't really look at esports as a challenging thing. But mentally, there is a lot of mental effort that goes into playing in esports tournaments and gaming.
Yeah, definitely. There's quite a bit that goes into it. I mean, you can essentially look at it as you would any other sport, because that is essentially what it is. It is not a sport where you go outside per se and participate, on a pitch, but you participate on a virtual platform where you go up against players, and it's essentially your wits against your opponents. You're trying to outperform, outlast, and outplay them. And that's what makes it so interesting, exactly, just to see how the teams go about that. And of course, you see a lot of those mental factors coming into it, whether the players are fatigued, whether they had a good or bad day in real life, that reflects up into the game. So there's so many factors that come into play when looking at how a team is performing on a particular day.
Now, looking at those factors and, of course, the mental strength, this also determines how the teams go to grab the point. Let's take a quick look at the point structure and what the teams need to do to get up this leaderboard. Patchy, you want to talk us through this?
Yeah, this point structure is pretty much like the determining factor of everything that happens on the game, because obviously where you get your points, that's how you get your wins. So starting with that first position, you get that winner chicken dinner, you're getting 15 points. Second place, you're going to get 12. Third place, you're going to get 10. Then in 4th place, 8 points. 5th place is 6 points. 6th place, you'll be getting 4 points. 7th, 2 points. And then 8 to 12 will be each getting 1 point. If you
Right, so and especially was trying to build up. They are saying that the essential one, of course, being those kill points where you get awarded 1 point per kill. So I'm really liking having that right in there, because, it really promotes teams to get it.
And for me, I've always been saying that when you look at that particular kill point, for me was extremely important, because a lot of people take the kill points for granted, and it has shown that it does play a big role. There are teams that have no winner chicken dinners and are on the top of that leaderboard purely based on kill points. Now, I'm looking forward to some really exciting matchups today. There's a team that I know you guys are calling out last weekend and really hoping that it would do well, and that was G3 Temper. And I'm hoping that it will come up today and do something really good. I'm also looking out for Gun Gamers Unite Nations, because I hope because the Gamers Uniting Nations is exactly what we're doing here at the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. So, DK and Pachi, I want both of you individually to give me your top two teams for this first match on Erangel, I believe.
Well, okay, so just based on stats, and I know Patchy likes his stats, that's why I want to get a head start on him before he gets into that extensive breakdown of the stats. Two teams currently in this group that we have are two teams that are looking pretty strong on the overall leaderboard. That is, of course, the players from Zero Tolerance, as well as the players coming in from Influence Rage, right? The Immortalz, they're also, all the Immortalz are actually right up against the players there from Zero Tolerance, currently sitting in 7th and 8th place. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on them, watching how they perform, because they've got a really good opportunity here today to catapult themselves even higher up that leaderboard, as they already have some really strong points to starting the games off here today.
Yeah. So statistically speaking, yeah, DK definitely hitting that one on the head. There we've got Zero Tolerance
statistically speaking
and Immortalz. Yeah, I mean the Immortalz and Zero Tolerance skills currently are sitting quite highly on the leaderboard, right? But I want to say that we're noticing some interesting things, right? In terms of the points that the teams that are competing in this group have, a large portion of them are actually sitting right next to one another on the leaderboard, right? And we're not going to go into exactly where that is, because I think for the moment that's irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that they're quite close. What that means is that very likely we're going to see the majority of the teams in the groups sort of going head to head. But yes, DK did point out that Zero Tolerance skills and Immortalz are sitting at the top, but G3 Temper is not too far behind them. And I think that, like Sid said, if there was a team that could potentially make something happen, it's definitely them. And although they didn't step up in a way that we've seen from them previously, of course, every team is basically, a lot of teams have faced the roster shuffles. Of course, G3 Temper is no stranger to that. So definitely still finding their momentum in this one, but definitely could also make it happen. One of the other things that I'm waiting for is that this particular group also happens to have some teams that we know to be relatively robust. That being, for instance, Gun, who didn't perform to the top potential that we've seen them do, of course. There we go. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Sid. Heading into our favorite old map here, or at least one of the favorite maps, that is Erangel. It's the bread and butter, the staple of PUBG Mobile. But here we are, and we've got a very interesting flight path, DK, all the way from Lipovka to south of Primorsk. So not going to be too happy if they wanted to drop in, for instance, George.
Yeah, definitely an interesting flight path, I have to say. But of course, now we're going to be watching where these players are going to be going, where the teams are going to try and rotate on into. So we can see that first initial zone, of course, now coming in and popping all the way off over that western side. So this is typical PUBG fashion.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing in the flight path on the one side and then hoying that zone all the way into the opposite direction. So definitely expecting a few interesting rotations coming from the teams here. So we have a few potential spots where things are already starting to heat up very close towards Jasnaya, as we just saw the teams making their way on in. Also now the players from Toxic grabbing those vehicles, getting a quick rotation in before any team behind them can start bouncing on top of them.
Yeah, this definitely going to be an interesting situation here. Very, as you mentioned, very PUBG-esque of the zone versus flight path combination there. dropping them off on the completely opposite side and then making them run. And so, of course, some of the teams are definitely going to be making that happen, hopping into those vehicles, getting themselves positioned. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which teams do decide to stay behind. Of course, we have teams like BBC on the roster at the moment. We know they like to drop in towards Milta. They like to sit there for quite some time, and then they go on their good old adventures, roundabout cross-country road trip. So we'll see if they can get that done. Of course, Macho doing a couple of nosedives with that vehicle and paying the price. That is HP. So yeah, everyone just currently positioning themselves here on the map and getting ready to make stuff happen. We just saw Not Gaming. We saw Snurra, a couple of cool things coming out for him. Last time we saw him on the map. We'll see if we can make the same thing happen once again. Of course, we've got G3 Tampa getting themselves all up and ready to go as well. So we're just going to see who is going to be the first team to engage. Or are we actually going to see some slow gameplay coming out here, potentially?
Well, we could. We are currently in that looting phase where the teams, of course, just go about, make sure they are, you know, covered for the coming few phases. But I'm interested to see whether or not we're going to be having that Columbus move come in from BBC. You know, they're going to hop on their boat and start exploring once again. But definitely we'll find out in due time. But a lot of movement now coming in as the teams are trying to find themselves in ideal positions, setting themselves up for the coming zone. Seeing that it is all the way up in that northwestern portion of the map, it's definitely an interesting region for these teams to try and rotate on up into. As you can see, of course, the players here from Influence Rage already on their way. But we see they're, of course, now getting challenged. They're not the only team deciding to do that. And in fact, several teams are slowly making their way on in. But they could be running into some competition, some visitors pretty soon.
Yeah, I like the fact that we're seeing a couple of teams drop down into that military island. Very nice. That's a Patchy Points approval right there. That your rating has just increased for your very good decision-making skills there. Other than that, the other thing that's quite interesting about where the zone is sitting at the moment is the fact that we've got the famous mountains also sitting slap bang in the middle of them. And usually, if those mountains are to be found in towards late game, they can be a huge point of contention. We see a lot of fighting for that mountain happening and a lot of fighting from that mountain as well when the teams decide to sort of colonize the top of that and really just use it to, you know, annoy everyone else in the general vicinity because of that really great angle that it provides. So it'll be interesting to watch and see if that actually comes into play. If it does, that will be fun because it's always fun to watch people fighting for a mountain. If not, oh well, I guess we'll just you know, wait until next time.
Yeah, I mean, Everest is usually a highly contested position, as you said now, especially when the zone does center up around that. But now we wait to see where exactly the teams are going to be going, as we see the players here from Not Gaming now making their rotation up in towards those Georgia Ball crates. We're not seeing any other teams really occupying this region, but as we know, just north of the water, we've got two teams positioned right there. So definitely looking to see what is going to be happening. But of course, well, the two teams that we were talking about was the players from Not Gaming and, of course, Zero Tolerance Skills. So a nice little bit of a break off there, just rotating off over in towards those Georgia Ball crates as we saw coming in from one of the players for Not Gaming. So definitely waiting to see how they're going to try and play this region, as it is quite challenging with all these compounds and rooms and buildings and, you know, so much hard cover to move around in.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the meantime. That's Immortalz doing some damage. They've got a pretty decent position up here towards the bridge. And, of course, camping that is going to net a couple of kills at least. And they've done so far, but it is under pain of a little bit of return fire because they do have some opponents just on the other side. So a little bit of battling happening nice and early, which is great to see. Sully putting a few shots in of his own. We've got Broly sitting down here, waiting to see if he can spot anyone out. The Immortalz do take the vehicles and start to leave. Not going to land any shots either, so the Immortalz will be able to escape for the time being. And we'll see if any kills come of it. Actually going to continue to put some shots in. That's one more pick for Umar for the Immortalz there. So they've already started things on a high note, and that's really, really good for them, considering Immortalz are also, well, they are one of the two teams sitting at the top of this group at the moment.
But this is a really interesting move that we see coming in here from Cartel, because we got True now rotating around on that Sosnovka Island, Brody holding that angle on the bridge. So quite a bit of separation coming in between them. As you can see, of course, Broly dropping down into the drink, just trying to evade the damage for the time being. So I don't know if this rotation really worked out all too great for them, as we did see the players there from the Immortalz, of course, putting quite a bit of damage into the side of them. So definitely looking to see how they're going to try and recuperate from that initial, you know, bit of a detriment they had. They are already losing 2 of their players. But now as we move on over towards the players here from Zero Tolerance, again, we're going to be looking to see how they are handling themselves. And of course, also now the players from Toxic taking that engagement with the players from Influence Rage. So you can see Vegeta now just trying to provide some additional hard cover, but they're getting caught in a very, very challenging spot as we see the remaining players from Influence actually moving in from the north, catching them off guard. And of course, with that, Vegeta gets taken down. So Reki is now the only remaining hopeful for the players there from Toxic Esports.
Yeah, and that's really, really unfortunate for Toxic, because they are currently sitting at the bottom of the group. So, you know, getting hit hard so early on is really not what they've been wanting to get out of this. But yeah, it is what it is. Just sort of have to deal with it. I mean, the other team we were talking about just now is the Comfy Cartel, who also got hit hard pretty early, and they are also sitting relatively close down there towards the bottom of the group. So definitely going to be wanting to try and bounce back a little bit to put those points on the board. Otherwise, yeah, those teams up ahead of them might just run away a little bit too far ahead to catch up. Of course, we do have the entire season to play out, so, you know, it's not going to be too you know, it's not the end of the world, but certainly do want to put in the work as soon as possible. I mean, already we have a team sitting right at the top with 100 points on the board, of course, that being 4KT. Now, of course, they're not in this group, but 100 points is a lot. That is quite a considerable number. And the highest, the closest teams that we have in this group to that score is, of course, going to be Zero Tolerance Skills and Immortal at 45 and 44. So they've got also a pretty big ways to go, and then they're actually going to be looking to put some wins on the board here. And we did see at least Immortalz putting some kills down to start things off.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to be looking at the players there, as you mentioned, Zero Tolerance and the Immortalz, just to see how they handle themselves in this game. There's a lot of potential to come from this for them. They could really improve their overall standings just through the games that we have here today. But of course, the rest of the teams also in the lobby. I mean, that is not just the players from Zero Tolerance and Immortalz. We also have BBC, as we've been talking about before. It is the players from Lag, which we can of course see on screen. Also then the team there from Influence Rage coming in, G3 Tempo. A lot of these teams that we're going to be keeping an eye on and hoping that they bring that stellar performance, bring in that aggression, and of course start raking in those points. And of course they're now running straight into that possible position. As you can see, that zone continuing further up in towards the north, and a nice huge conversion of teams happening over on that eastern side of the zone.
Yeah, of course, moving up in towards that zone, getting a little bit more central, making sure they get up in there. Lots of teams still lagging behind in that blue, and that is going to come back to bite a couple of players. That, of course, one of them being there from the Comfy Cartel, so not super comfy in that blue zone. And they're going to pay the price for it, and that is, well, what's going to happen to anyone who decides to tempt the fates with that blue. In any case, all the teams will be moving in, trying to get themselves across that line. We still have 15 teams in here, so the survivability of these teams is definitely quite high. The Drogons getting hit hard as well, not enjoying their time out there on the outskirts of the zone. And of course, now with the zone being so far north, a lot of teams do have to make their way up. And once they're in here, I mean, we're moving in sort of past that early game stage. Moving in from the second zone into the third is going to start meaning that we will see more engagement start to happen.
Yeah, 100% true. And of course, now we see the players there from Lag Esports just rotating up a little bit over towards the north. But of course, they're not the only team. We've got a few more teams right on their heels following suit, rotating up alongside them. So definitely a few interesting plays that can come from this. But now we wait to see exactly how these teams are going to try and go at that. Of course, it is it is what we've been waiting for. We've got the natural killers also currently sitting here, lying in wait, waiting for that moment to bounce. Currently sitting on 22 total points, so definitely any additional points they are able then to acquire will really assist them. But now, this is where things look a little bit tough. I mean, the players here from Lag, or shall we call them Zeus, they're not really too aggressive just yet, but of course you can't expect that just yet. It is still early game. They are trying to find a decent position to be fighting from, and they're now making their rotation up in towards the zone. But what we're going to be looking at is exactly how the teams evolve that. As they move further in towards the zone, will they then start to get a little bit more aggressive, start looking for those fights, looking for that those extra kills, or are they going to try and play the hands more along the side of positional points?
Yeah, you know, that's always the question that starts to come up when you look into the groups clashing early on in the season. You want to know what to prioritize. Do you prioritize those positions? Do you go for the kills? And it's difficult. And of course, it's determined by each team's playstyle as well. Speaking of playstyle, we do see G3 Atempa putting some shots in. Gunner going to be using that Uzi to just pop a couple of shots in, pick up some knocks. But yeah, I mean, it goes back to playstyle. It goes back to situation. You know, right there, we saw the fact that the zone and the flight path was so far apart in terms of spacing. That definitely means that you should probably focus on positioning just to be safe. Now, of course, you could also go on the offensive and use the fact that everyone's out of position to catch people off guard, to pick up kills. And that's a little bit of what we see here and there. But ultimately, it comes once again down to the playstyle. Do you want to play it safe, or do you want to risk it for the biscuit? And sometimes risking it for that biscuit is definitely is going to be a lot more worth it, because of the fact that for every kill you get a point. And I mean, like Dr. Sid said in the beginning of this, like we've been saying all seasons, it's those points that can really make the difference at the end of the day. You know, the chicken dinner is huge, but if you get, 10 kills, that's 10 free points plus a really high position score, and you're sitting happy.
You're all Gucci from that point onwards. So definitely, waiting to see how the team's going to play. Now we see also the players here from BBC just moving a little bit further in from the north. We've got a few teams, of course, lined up right in front of them, that being the players from Rainbow Six Madagascar. So many hits now still lining up that kill feed. And then we're now also waiting to see exactly where the players here from Pain are going to try and rotate into. They're coming in from the south. A lot of teams up ahead of them. And of course, we still have 15 teams in play. But definitely not seeing a lot of testing the waters just yet. We have Nibble getting a little bit closer onto the side there of Zeus. So definitely hoping for that play to start coming in, as a lot of these teams are moving into zone, finding themselves in a position, but they're not necessarily jumping at those opportunities for the engagement. Yes, I understand, if all the teams kind of apply the same strat, it is difficult to find those hits. But we, again, are looking for that hunter team, the team that actively goes out and starts looking for those fights, looking for those engagements. And G3 is one of the teams we've known in past games and past seasons to be that aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely, that is a style that we don't see coming out all too often. Usually we see that sort of a mentality start to pick up later in the season, just because those teams usually have to get comfortable first. You can't just pull it out straight off the bat. A lot of teams don't feel comfortable doing that. They try and sort of get into their own before they make that kind of thing happen. But that is the confidence that we would want to see. We definitely want to see that coming out, because if you put yourself down like that, yeah, you might get tripped up, you might make a couple of mistakes, but if you're super confident in your ability like that, that is something amazing to see. So yes, that is definitely something that we want to see coming out from the teams. At the moment, we're not seeing that just yet, and of course, you can't really blame any of the teams. Just is the beginning of the season. They're still finding their footing here, but we certainly hope they find it quickly, because we want to see those hunts, we want to see those kills, we want to see the teams taking it over, just dominating the map. So for the moment, we'll just have a look and see what is actually transpiring here. That's actually Reki getting taken out. BBC going to be hammering him right down to the floor there. He's going to have to crawl over, and well, Lord is not going to give him that chance. Going to be putting the rest of those shots in, and actually going to be tussling with the Immortalz as well. Zero tolerance skills up in the fray, so everyone is just sort of getting in it now. The zone is small enough that everyone has got a pretty decent shot across to one another. Gun getting hit, as well as, well, G3 Tampa just putting the pressure on it from the angles that they can find, lots of downs in that particular position as well. The Drogons getting hammered, so everyone is now under fire, and those shots are absolutely flying, and some really good use of cover by Nerf to try and put those shots in. But he's got a lot of work to do because all of his teammates are downed or dead.
And of course, that is just how that cookie crumbles. But now we're waiting to see just how Gun will be able to come back from this. They are in a really good position. I mean, those trenches there where the plane has crashed, that is a really strong position to hold, especially looking at where the zone is. It is down in the south, and there's a lot of cover, a lot of hard cover for them really to make you much use of in that region. Of course, we see the players here from G3. They're trying to come in from a little bit more of an eastern approach. So Gun can really leverage that and use it to their advantage to just pick the players from G3 apart. So definitely waiting to see how that will then come to fruition exactly, you know, what fate has in store for Gun. But definitely seeing quite a bit of aggression now starting to come in as expected, as a lot of these teams are forced together. Their hands are forced. They need to get into these engagements. Otherwise, they're going to get sent back into the lobby. So that is why we're seeing that kill feed just absolutely lighting up. And of course, the southern point is still a highly contested region.
Yeah, luckily Gun was able to get themselves back up here, recuperate just a little bit, but there's a lot of issues with that position. That zone is going to be right on their backs, and there's going to be very little cover moving on ahead. Of course, you can see the same is true for just about everyone at the moment as they try and stay back. They try and keep the cover going. Up comes Zeus to try and put those shots in. He's putting them in, but won't find the kills that he's looking for. Will hit the deck, but luckily, teammate is there to revive him. Almost gets caught out there, though. This is a very dangerous game that they're playing. Skidoo putting the shots in, that Snurra going down. Molly's going to come through as well as that zone gets a whole lot smaller and puts the Not Gaming squad in a little bit of pressure. Should I say a lot of pressure. Smoke's going to go down as that res does come through, but the teams are already making their way inside that zone. They're going to have to move very, very quickly because, well, they are running out of space. 11 teams left and 39 players to squeeze inside of this zone.
And things are not going to get any easier from this point on. As we can see the players from Zero Torrents really putting up a strong defense on this western side of the zone. So many teams in the vicinity waiting for that moment to pounce. And of course, this is why we see them placed where they are on the overall leaderboard. But of course, now BBC up ahead of them, just testing the waters. We got the players here from Not Gaming making a nice recovery, nice comeback. Of course, now only sitting on 2 remaining players. That is Macho and Zeus. But they've got quite a bit of an uphill battle ahead of them. They need to try and find that entry point in towards the zone. But it's going to be so challenging as we've got such a huge number of players still alive. 37 players remain, 11 teams alive. And as you can see now, the players here from Not Gaming feeling that pressure, feeling those knocks come on over towards them. And it's going to be such a challenging angle for them to get out of, let alone the blue zone that is now forcing their hand and forcing them to rotate further.
Oh man, you can see these teams just struggling right now, trying to juggle engagements with the blue zone, with trying to position and get that cover. It is so difficult, and those numbers are dropping one by one. Everyone is feeling the pain. You can see the numbers in those players left alive going down every single time that kill feed is going nuts. Everyone is taking casualties. Everyone is finding themselves in a difficult spot right now. And with those numbers going down, we're left with 8 teams remaining here. G3 putting those shots in tempo, definitely doing some good work here. Lots of teams just going in for the kills. Here comes Hansley putting the shots across, trying to find, but so much crossfire to deal with. G3 putting the shots in as well. NF putting them in, getting those kills, and finally managing to try and get those reses. Very little cover to work with, but at least there is something. All these teams stacked down towards the southern portion of the map, feeling the heat from one another. And there's G3 Temper continuing to put those shots across and make things really, really tough as they do it. This is what they do. Finally finding their position here in the team. But just as it happens, Sully going to put those shots in right back at you, trying to get those knocks in for himself. Everyone really finding their kills all over the place, and the smokes are getting popped. Here come the rotations as well, but G3, they've got some good control of the map so far. They've been doing a really, really good job of keeping things under control and picking those kills up.
Man, they are definitely going to get challenged and just really tested to see how well they can hold on to that angle. We've got 6 teams remaining, 20 players still alive. The southern section of the zone, just by itself, already looking so jam-packed, and of course things are only getting tougher as we progress further on through the zone. But we're seeing some really good handling of the situations coming in as the teams move on up, and of course in this zone, positioning is going to be absolutely crucial. As you can see, G3 already taking occupation of one of the cover positions in the zone as they hold on, and of course just up ahead the players there from Zero Tolerance now getting lasered by Lord, but BBC now trying to make that play, trying to get on in. They're still moving into this next phase with 4 players alive, and let's see whether or not they'll be able to take all their numbers in. If they are able to do that, things are looking really, really strong there for them. As you can see, the rest of the teams, their numbers are starting to dwindle, so BBC really coming into this phase with an advantage, but now to see whether or not they'll be able to capitalize on that. But also now looking over towards Influence Rage. He's coming in with such a strong play from the far side. BBC causing havoc as they also try to rotate on in, but so many teams just scattered up on that hill. So especially the teams coming in from the north, like BBC here, they can really capitalize on that. Rainbow Six also just up ahead of them. So they have a little bit of that slanted advantage. They can see the teams up ahead, and it is at times a little bit easier to fight upwards than it is to fight downwards.
Yeah, it was, BBC was actually doing really, really well. Their performance was looking quite good moving through this. They were staying alive a lot longer than they usually can when things get a little bit chaotic. So their management of that was a lot better. And then coming into this one, because of the way the zone moved, we're down to the south, they had to get that long rotation in. That really stretched them further than they were able to keep themselves going for. And that really has come back to bite them. They were not able to get themselves into the zone, and being under so much pressure like that. I mean, sure, sometimes it is a little bit easier to fight upwards, but when there's so many teams sitting on top of this hill all across trying to just look at you and take you out, it is so difficult to keep yourself alive. So right now we've got 4 teams remaining on the board, that of course being the players there from Gun. We've also got Influence Rage, you can see on your screen, who have just confirmed that the rest of those BBC players are no longer on the map. You've got G3 Temper sitting here still in their position, looking quite strong. We're waiting to see if the zone rotation is actually going to favor them once again, because if it does, they are just going to be able to continue being a powerhouse. But no, it rotates just off to that western side, forcing a couple of rotations coming in there. That is definitely going to make things difficult. Rainbow Six keeping themselves alive, and they are just on the edge of that zone, so they should be able to do a little bit of gatekeeping for when Influence Rage decides to make their rotate, which they're going to have to do in around 25 seconds.
But I gotta say, I'm really satisfied with that positioning coming in there from Gun. Aimbot and Nerf really well positioned in that zone. They are able to gather so much information. Of course, just wait in ambush for these 3 opposing teams to try and rotate in. As you can see, Influence Rage, they are all the way out of that zone, caught up in that northeastern side. So they now need to try and come up with a strategy to rotate in securely. There's 3 other teams lying in wait. You can see G3, they've got the good numbers to their side. And of course, now we wait to see exactly where they're going to try and rotate in. Rainbow Six Madagascar also positioned up in the north. Again, just on the edge of zone. So these teams playing it careful makes sense. I would probably do the same. You don't want to risk it too much. You don't want to like overly expose yourself and try and play on that element of surprise. But now we see Sully trying to put the shots up in towards G3, but a quick retaliation coming in, that knock following on through. But Rainbow Six now applying a bit of pressure as well. G3 still sitting down over in that southeastern section of the zone, covered in smoke. Good angle, but of course now it also obstructs their own vision. That's why we see Flacco moving up a little bit closer, creeping a little bit further in towards that zone. He knows there's players around him. He can't really see them, but he's trying to set himself up in such a way that if they were to push in, he would have that clear line of sight. As you can see there, of course, Gaiden finding those shots straight on through now for the team here from Rainbow Six. And man, they're sitting on a 3-man team, but causing so much damage in the zone.
Yeah, those shots are coming through as everyone's trying to creep on up, and G3 doing a good job of just keeping the zone on lock. Hensley trying to make something happen, but it's a difficult position to be in, and he's just going to get lasered down. Six God sitting at the top of that, doing what he does best, making sure that everyone has such a huge problem moving in here. Aimbot still trying to keep a lock. He's just heading the attack at the moment, trying to put some shots in. But here comes G3. Might just be able to shut him down. The rest of the team, Rainbow Six, moving on up, trying to encroach on that position. The zone absolutely minuscule at the moment, as you can see. Well, as you cannot see, is actually probably the better description of that. Nerf putting those shots in now. And things are getting really, really tight here for these last three remaining teams.
I mean, Gun still holding their own. Oh, but Nerf not getting hit as the shots here from Stone find they went through. Really good lineup, though, from Rainbow Six here. But, of course, now G3 just trying to improve their own positioning in the zone. Aimbot having a fairly decent angle there, but it is going to be super challenging looking at the sheer number of players remaining. But if things work out in his favor, which it might just... Oh, he's up against only one player now. As he comes in for this final play, is him. Well, Aimbot up against the last remaining player coming in for the G3 team. That, of course, is Flacco. But he's now rotating up towards 6, trying to get those numbers back up. So they have the numbers advantage when pushing in towards Aimbot. So it's going to be absolutely crucial. But, of course, Blue Zone is closing in. So these players are starting to run out of time. It is Gun up against G3. Six God managing to recover a little bit of health. Flacco goes out to explore, spots him. Down he goes and gets the confirm. G3 coming in with a lovely, lovely chicken dinner. And of course doing so with 13 kills.
Too soon to say I called it? I kind of did.
Yes,
but
you called it. Well done. Well done.
There it is. But, I mean, right there, that was such a tough spot for Gun to be in. 1 versus 2, and I mean, as soon as that rotation came through to get the res in, that was basically done because they had the cover with that crate, and Gun just did not have it. And there was no way that he was able to actually get up there and try and get the finisher because he didn't have. It didn't seem like he had any nades, and to try and expose himself then would have basically sealed his fate. But as soon as that res came through, his fate was basically sealed anyway. So what a tough situation, but well done to Gun for keeping that one on lock. Or, sorry, for G3 for keeping that on lock.
I'm super excited because I was literally looking forward to teams like Gun and G3 Temper come through with some amazing plays. It's also really exciting to see Rainbow Six Madagascar up there in the top 3. This was a thoroughly exciting match. Now, DK, there were so many amazing plays right there, but I have to ask you one question. Did you think that the guy from Gun should have pushed on the guys from the guys who won? Like, do you think he should have pushed? I feel like he had an opportunity. There was one player down. Should he have pushed or should he have just waited?
It's a really difficult call to make, right? It depends on so many things. Firstly, it depends on how comfortable that player is with doing a play like that, all right? But then it also comes down to what they have in their utilities, because if you just blindly push up, you could just as well run into the blue zone. It's going to have a very similar effect, you know? So, I mean, I think Aimbot there made the best play that he could make at that particular moment. I mean, sitting from where we are, looking at the vantage point we're looking from, maybe we could have tried something different, but I don't think the result would have been any different.
Oh, fantastic. Now let's take a look at our winners for the first game of the day in Group B versus Group C. It is G3 Temper. Patchy, talk us through the standings for today.
So yeah, of course it's going to be G3 Temper if they're going to put up a performance like that. We saw a little bit of that shine through when we saw them in the previous weeks, but this is really where it shines through. 15 placement points, 13 kills, and this is the sort of G3 Temper that we're used to seeing. And if they keep up performances like this, we're definitely going to see them rising through the ranks because they've basically almost got the same amount of points from kills alone that they got from getting that chicken. That's almost doubling their chicken dinner in a single game. That is huge, and that is the kind of points you need to be putting on the board if you want to be making it towards the top. So yeah, they're going to be sitting with those 28 points quite happily. Of course, moving in to the second page, we're going to be seeing positions 9 to 16, or at least 9 to 15. Drogons going to be heading up this page in position 9 with the 2 points, and then everyone else 1 point or 0 points. Definitely not the performances that we were looking for instance, from Nibble or Natural Killers. But it is the unfortunate reality. You know, obviously you're going to have teams that come in at the bottom there. And with the difficulty that we saw coming through from that game, it is definitely inevitable that we see the teams that are not going above and beyond sort of falling to the wayside at the moment. So that is the reality. That's what we're seeing here.
Now, I would like to see who is the MVP going to be today. You think it'll be? I probably think it'll be Aimbot.
It's a tough call. Again, I mean, like there's a few factors that go into determining our MVP for the match, but I gotta say, Aimbot did put up a strong performance, even though he was in a fairly challenging position, especially in those late phases. I think he handled himself fairly well. But of course, then also G3 just played a really strong game as well. I mean, Flacco managing to sneak in, get in those reses on his teammates. And of course, well, yeah, there we go. It goes over to G3. 6 God from G3 Temper claiming that MVP with the 4 kills. So well done, well-deserved play, of course, there for G3.
Yeah.
Wow. It is hotting up. It is still the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Nodwing Gaming. We just witnessed an amazing game from PUBG Mobile. My name is Dr. Sid, right here with Patchy and DK, and we'll be right back with some more PUBG Mobile action right after this break. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. My name is Dr. Sid. Happy to be with you today as we are watching amazing action from PUBG. But of course, I'm not here alone. I'm here with two amazing gentlemen, Patchy, DK, and we've just witnessed an amazing first game in PUBG Mobile. Let's take a look at the standings once again and see how this game, the first game, has switched up the standings.
Yeah, so jumping into that, G3 Temper sitting on that number 1 with 28, and yeah, that is no surprise after getting 13 kills, no less, to get there. Rainbow Six Madagascar coming in that position at 2 with 18 points, and Gun in that third position with 17, so very close on the rankings there for that last game between Rainbow Six and Gun, which is actually quite good to see. It's nice to see Gun just moving up there into the top just for a little bit, you know, especially in contrast to their performance right in the beginning when we saw them. So that's good. Hopefully they continue with that performance. BBC, another one that we saw making it up in the top 5, sitting in that position 5 there as well. So that's good to see. And like DK mentioned, that Rainbow Six coming in second place is also quite impressive coming through there.
And to be honest, when I'm looking at these standings, DK, I see people like Drogons, Nibble Esports, Cartel, Not Gaming, Natural Killer Esports, and Lag Esports. Now, these teams still have an opportunity to make it because there is still a long way to go in the Umzansi Esports League. So, I mean, we shouldn't write anyone off yet. But obviously, they are making it very, very difficult for themselves to get top spots in the leaderboard. But as I do need to mention, the top 16 teams from the overall leaderboard will be making it to the semifinals. So, sorry, top 24 teams will be making it to the semifinals, while the top 16 teams from then will make it into the finals. So, really, if these teams are having difficulties, they only need to make it into the top 24 to stand a chance of shaking the tables up and still coming away with that amazing prize pool, which the production team put on screen right now to remind everyone of exactly what we're playing for.
There it is, 15,000 PUBG Mobile prize pool out of a total of 17,500. 2.5, of course, being there for FIFA 21. So PUBG Mobile segment getting quite a lot in there. So there is definitely a lot on the line for these teams. And like you said, with the 24 that need to make it up into the next phase or the next stage of the tournament, definitely, you know, the aim should be, can we get in, you know, at least to try and prove ourselves, because, you know, every single stage of the game, every single stage of the tournament is a proving ground. You know, you need to get yourself across that line, and then you need to get yourself across that next line. You know, there's always an argument to be made for the team going for those boasting points of getting that top spot, you know, getting the number 1, and then those bragging rights that come with that. But definitely just being able to make it over that line in every stage of the game is an accomplishment in and of itself.
So right now we're going to be going into one of my personal favorite maps, watching this particular tournament, the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. It is Sandhawk, close quarters, the battles, the intelligent plays, the lounging and getting yourself stuck in the building, watching these amazing pushes. I'm super excited. I can't wait to see which team is going to be. And I said a lot of jargons there because trust me, when I think about Sandhawk, it's like you have to be a real amazing guy on close quarter combat because these teams, it is such a small map. And let's go shopping, and then everybody comes together and it's boom, all action. You can go from 15 squads down to 3 in the space of 2 minutes. It is super exciting. DK, I'm gonna ask you again, as I do Patchy and DK, who are you calling it for on this map, Sandhawk, to win, DK?
Who am I calling it for? Well, I mean, so this is definitely the opportunity for the teams a little bit lower on that leaderboard to come in and get in some aggressive kills. And we've seen that happen a few times. So for this one, I'm going to be going with, let's say, the players from Toxic and Nibble.
Impressive, Patchy.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. That is quite a bold claim to make there. Nice risky play coming out from DK. I like it. I like it a lot, definitely. I mean, if there was ever a map where that could happen, it is definitely this one. And that's what I would like to see. My hopes are definitely going to be siding with DK, but I really think that Tampa showed some good gameplay there. I think so did a lot of the teams sitting towards the top of the groups at the moment. So I think that we're probably going to see them performing at least moderately well. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Like you said, this is a very fast-paced map, but you know, a lot of shenanigans can happen because of that, and a lot of that has to do with a lot of those early plays trying to slow things down. When you try to slow things down in the beginning, you only end up speeding things up at the end. So there's a lot of fun things that can happen in between that we're definitely looking forward to.
Ladies and gentlemen, Patty dropping nuggets. If you slow things down in the beginning, you're only going to speed things up at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, we are waiting on our flight path over Sandhawk, and here it is. And I will be leaving you once again in the very capable hands of DK and Patty as we talk you through all the action from Sandhawk in the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 PUBG Mobile. Let's go.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sid. Now, heading into our Sandhawk map here, it is going to be a pretty decent flight path. A little bit of the northeast going to be taken away, but the map is small enough that it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Rotations can come through pretty quickly where you can't immediately drop. So, DK, tell me, what are we going to be seeing here? Are we going to be seeing that slow early game play, or do you think some teams are going to try and spice it up and get some early kills?
I mean, I'm low-key hoping that teams want to spice it up. You know, if it doesn't happen, it's fine. But I mean, just looking at where the players from Comfy Cartel and the team there from Zero Tolerance have dropped over in towards that trifecta, there is definitely a potential for that. And of course, the Drogons up here in Hatin also right there with the players from Not Gaming. So yeah, definitely we could be seeing quite a bit of early game action coming in, but it all depends on how the teams handle these situations. If they decide they want to stick around and try and take these engagements, or potentially maybe disengage and rotate into a stronger position elsewhere in zone. Also remember, we are still in the looting phase. So this is one of the best opportunities for teams to trying to get those quick, easy points, as the opponents don't really have much just yet when it comes to armor and weapons and meds.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the early engagements like the one we're seeing right here can definitely come back to bite a lot of the teams, and immediately actually Plaza going to be, you know, taken straight out of the game there. So Gun going to feel a little bit of pain, and this is exactly what we tend to see from those teams that usually play with that traditional Erangel style, that sort of slower beginning, moderate movement in towards the late game phase. Sort of play style coming out from a lot of those teams that do tend to make it to the top in those maps, switched on their head here in Sandhawk because things can happen a lot quicker. And if you're so used to being able to take that time in the beginning and take your time slowly being able to build yourself up, if you're so used to that, you can get caught off guard and you can get taken out regardless of how skillful you are. And this is why so many times we see some of those teams that usually score highly actually getting taken out so quickly. And there it is, already both Gun and G3 facing losses straight off the bat.
And this is the beauty of Sandhawk. I mean, if you want to risk it for biscuit on any map, this is the map to, you know, come with your cookies and cream, because there's so many here to risk. So definitely waiting to see how these teams are going to push and how they're going to play. And so far, really strong start coming in on the side here of Zeus, as they have managed to find that one knock and confirm onto the side of G3. So bringing in that extra bit of a disruption, just making it that extra little bit more difficult for G3 to function as they would have had they, you know, still had all four of their players.
Yeah. So let's have a look and see what is going to go down. Already we've had some nice early engagement coming out on this map, and hopefully it's not the end of that. I definitely like the pacing of this a lot more. You know, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes slowing things down can be good, but it can also lead to some crazy stuff happening later on in the game. So teams have decided to take things into their own hands, and this is an approach that I really, really like, especially on this map. If you get the early momentum, you can actually make it a little bit easier for yourself going in or towards the end, or at least reduce the amount of craziness that we can see on this map moving in towards the end game. So those early points are going to guarantee the kills, guarantee the points, because it is 1 kill, 1 point. So that is definitely something that you can capitalize on this map in the early portion. Try and catch people by surprise, catch them on the rotate. When they trip up, just punish them. You know, that is a huge portion of a lot of, well, a lot of games in general, but I mean here in PUBG especially, you know, you've got to punish your opponents if they make mistakes. You've got to get that in. And that is an art. It's a craft. You know, it's something you have to, you know, polish up and be able to spot. First spot the mistake, then go in and punish it. And if you can get it right on a map like this, it really, really does bode well for you. So let's have a look and see if we see any more of those engagements. We do see the Not Gaming squad moving up quite quickly. The Drogons going to have to make sure that they are ready for this one. They do have a pretty decent setup, a little bit of positioning, but the grenades are being prepped, so that could definitely be taken away very, very quickly. So they have to be careful here, especially considering Not Gaming squad are looking, or at least it looks like they're looking for an engagement here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, but I mean I have to agree with what you were saying about, you know, taking on the opponents in the early game. It does really ease things up in those later phases. But now, talking about difficult, this is a very difficult engagement for both these teams. I mean, Dragons, they want to stay in this one as long as they can, but also the players from Not Gaming, they also want to be in this as long as they can. So they coming in with all these calculated maneuvers. They're trying to play it as good as they can. You know, almost playing it safe, but still having that edge of aggression. You know, being very, very calculated in where they move, trying to not overexpose themselves just yet. Only taking the engagement when they know they can actually land those shots. And that is a lot what we see come in from these two teams as they are now positioned up here in a hot team. So definitely waiting to see how this fight will go and which one will be the team to be the victor. Will it be Not Gaming? Will it be the Drogons? It's really a tough, close call.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to wait and see for Not Gaming. If they can get some points here, it's definitely going to be quite big for them because they were sitting pretty low down in the previous game. So going to be wanting to rectify that situation, of course, with the Drogons as well, sitting in towards the middle of the leaderboard in the previous game. Also going to be wanting to slap a couple of points down there. So they are going to be engaging here, Not Gaming taking a little bit of damage as the shots do come through. The Drogons putting them in. Zeus, first one to hit the deck, and now moving into the rest of the buildings. Yeah, it's starting to clean them out and chase out the rest of the players from there. You can see Jaeger and the rest of the team just backing into a bit of a corner. They're going to have to be super, super careful here because if you back yourself into a corner, you are basically putting yourself in a kill box for grenades and, you know, some quick rushes. So you definitely have to be careful about that. We'll see if they can handle it for the time being, though. The Drogons, they've got all their players left and, well, they're looking very much in control of the battle for the time being.
Both these teams actually looking pretty relaxed. I mean, yes, we know that they are right here alongside each other. We're waiting for the tension to crack and these teams to get into this fight. But they are really handling themselves exceptionally well. And of course, now we see Jeff finding the shots in towards Zeus. So with that, the players from Not Gaming now get taken down to only a 3-man team. The Dragons, of course, still holding up their front, still applying that pressure, looking for that opening, looking for the opportunity to find the final few heads over in towards the players here for Not Gaming. But a really interesting spread as we got Jeff downstairs, we got Tezuka up top. Then, of course, for Not Gaming, we've got Macho right there. But Dan the man comes swooping in. Will he come in to save the day and help his team just get that squad wipe going? It's going to be a really, really tough challenge for both of the players here from Not Gaming and the Drogons to succeed in this one. But here we go, the Drogons now finding a few hits up into the side there of Not Gaming as Dan comes pushing in. Nice show of aggression. Oh, what a play that was from Jager and Snorra, though. Just finding a double whammy, one after the other. But of course, now we see the players here from the Drogons come on in. Jeff steps on in with a DBS and they save the day. Wrapping up the game for the players there from Not Gaming. Absolutely phenomenal pushing that we had from the Drogons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were very much in control for a big portion of that early game action. They got some good picks, some good damage there. And then they just picked their time to strike. They went in and the execution was great. They got the kills and they managed to close it out and take those kills. So, yeah, very, very well done from them. We'll see if they can continue to do that, move themselves up that roster just that much more. And of course, moving on, we've got Influence Rage here. They've got some decent control of the area here. Not really anyone super close to them. That, of course, being in towards boot camp. We do have Nibble relatively close down towards the just the north of them. So there is that to worry about. But as you can see on the map, the teams are not super packed together just yet. There's a little bit of proximity in towards the center of the map, which is a good sign. It doesn't mean the teams are very much prepared for that zone to close on in, but it hasn't closed up just yet. It's still the first zone moving into the second one, so no huge pressure on the teams. So yeah, it's good to see that early engagement, but it's also good to see that the teams have also not just over pushed or really overexposed themselves. They're taking some good engagements here and there, keeping the other teams honest, putting down the suppressing fire, but not really overextending, which is good to see so far.
Yeah, and it's really good to see though them just holding up those angles. But of course now, I'm curious to see exactly what Nibble is going to do in this one. We have them positioned up in the north. They are spread out in those warehouses. At certain times, they could have a nice vantage point, but of course, you know, we're going to be looking to see how they would try to capitalize on that. Now, we can see also the players here from Comfy Cartel sitting quite comfy up on the top of the hill here. Our bootcamp hill just waiting to see who else is going to try and push on up and challenge them for their position up top here. They got a really good angle down below over on towards bootcamp, but also down over towards the side there of the players from Zero Tolerance who are positioned just down to the south of them. So definitely waiting to see how these engagements then will go once these teams start getting into them. And now we also see the players there from Zeus climbing in right behind the players from Nibble. So if Nibble don't start acting soon, they're definitely going to find themselves in a really tough predicament.
Yeah, it is going to be quite interesting. I'm really hoping for Nibble's sake they can pull something off here, because they're desperately in need of some of those points to gain some of the momentum moving into the rest of the beginning parts of this season. Definitely haven't picked up on that momentum just yet, but it would be nice to see coming out of them. And you know, as we've been saying, if there ever was a map to do it, this is the one. So could pull something out of the hat here. Influence Rage just going to be able to keep them at bay. We'll see. For the moment, though, of course, I think this is Rainbow Six trying to take some heat, but it's going to be Natural Killers moving up to move in for the kill. That's exactly what they're going to be doing, taking one player off the roster of Rainbow Six. They're already down a man, but it might not be the end here. Natural Killers might just look to continue the push and pick up a couple more kills for themselves, which I definitely want to see coming out of them as well. This is another team that I want to see get into their groove as well. The Natural Killers definitely have a lot more to show us than what they've shown so far. We'll see if Rainbow Six can hold on so long, or if Natural Killers will just back off of this fight.
Well, definitely Natural Killers have something to prove here. Waiting to see how they're going to cope with this one. All I just know is don't give Salah hot sauce. If you want him to sweat, do that. Definitely will be the case. You'll see a lot of that happening. But now, waiting to see exactly how Osiris and the rest of the players here from the Natural Killers are going to try and take this. They've got a good positioning around the team in between them. But now we wait to see whether or not they're going to try and bounce. They tried to rotate up, but of course, Rainbow Six just holding that doorway as Novak gets knocked. Now Sela right there on the door as well, trying to find his own entry into the building stone, taking a little bit of damage. And of course, beautiful knock coming in there from Osiris. Beautiful off-angle fighting, but of course, Prime and the last remaining player there now for Rainbow Six. Oh, coming under pressure as Natural Killers make their way through the compound, start clearing it out, building by building, and now they figured out where the last hopeful for Rainbow Six was, sending them right back into the lobby. Beautiful push coming in from Natural Killers.
Oh man, poor Rainbow Six trying to get their hide and seek award, the first hide and seek award for the season, but it's not to be. Natural Killers going to show a little bit of their true face here, give us a pretty good push and a really nice wipe there on to that Rainbow Six Madagascar team. So well done for the Natural Killers, going to be able to pick some kills up. But as you can see on the map, there's plenty of teams ahead of them ready to receive. So some more battles to come here. And of course, as we move through, moving in towards that third zone, we are going to see things pick up a lot quicker. And we will certainly see some crazy stuff start to happen on this map, as it does, as this map tends to give us. The craziness will soon ensue. But for the time being, we're just waiting and seeing where the next battle's going to happen. Comfy Cartel chilling up here right behind the rocks, waiting to see if they can spot any victims out to try and take a couple pot shots at.
And definitely waiting to see exactly how the players from Zero Torrents are going to play this. We still see them positioned down in towards the south. But now we see Comfy Cartel just trying to improve their overall positional awareness in this region. We can see so many teams in the vicinity. We've got the Immortalz over towards the western side. And of course, then, you know, the players, as we mentioned, they're from Zero Torrents right behind them. But I'm definitely hoping to see some of those rotations now come in as we see, the kill feed finding a few hits. BBC and the Natural Killers now getting caught in a nice engagement. Natural Killers already on a bit of a high from the previous fight that we saw them in. But now we wait to see exactly how they'll be able to cope against the team here from BBC.
Yeah, and BBC has definitely been performing a little bit better, especially today. In the previous game, we did see them put some pretty decent performances on. They came, I believe it was 5th, so certainly not too bad from them, especially considering they weren't doing all that well in the previous matches that we saw them in, although they were giving us some of that classic BBC action. We'll see if they can put anything up at the moment. They have taken a little bit of damage, but it's not the final say just yet. Natural Killers putting the shots across and they're landing them. Falak is going to be the next to go down. BBC might just be in a little bit of trouble here. Facing those 2 knocks on their squad already is going to give the go signal to the Natural Killers for them to move forward and start moving in to take that kill, to take and strike at the jugular, as it were. There goes Law, and this is all but done. The Natural Killers have done their due diligence. They've done the work. They've gotten the knocks, and this is pretty much done and dusted. BBC, they've just been dissected here. No chance for them to come back. The last player alive for BBC is Lord, and, well, he's got a long way to go to get to his friends, to get those reses, and the Natural Killers are moving in as quickly as possible. This is going to be very, very tough.
Yeah, and of course now everything is riding on whether or not Lord is able to secure the rest of his team. But the Natural Killers coming up so strong in this match. Really good strategic play that we see coming in from them. But of course now, Osiris steps on up, finds that hit in towards Lord. Now it is up to Falak to try and pull off enough health and also find those angles. But he does exactly that, finds the hit on towards Osiris. But now let's see whether or not Falak will be able to pick off the Natural Killers. No, Nova steps on in and ends it right there. Again, the Natural Killers just, they just push up that kill count. And now they're sitting on a very comfortable 8 kills. But we see G3, they've heard the shots. They're starting to move a little bit closer. They're getting curious. They're waiting to see if they can maybe find a potential third party on that angle. But also now Gun, they're keeping a very watchful eye on the players from Zeus, who we see now hiding behind the rocks just up ahead. So one false move, and that would be when Pounds starts to strike. And of course, you can see exactly that as the smoke gets deployed. Fortunately, the players there from Zeus not budging just yet. That was, of course, just a distraction, trying to see how the players from Gun will react to that. But now, G3 doing exactly what I thought they were going to do. Come in with that third party, and of course, now finding head after head into the side there of the players from Natural Killers. Shroud now being the last remaining hopeful for Natural Killers. And this is going to be such a tough one as G3 is moving up quite aggressively on towards him.
Oh man, what a tough spot for the Natural Killers after coming from such a surgical set of plays down to getting wiped off the board by none other than G3. Tampa coming in there. They're going to pick that one up. And this is what they do, DK. This is what they do. Just as you said, they hear those shots, they get curious, they come in to ruin your day, and they've done exactly that. The Natural Killers coming in with such a good-looking style. They were really, really well set up there. They nailed their shots. They managed to get the setup for the attack. Everything was going for them. They were going through the motions just as they should. And still, they get punished by G3 coming through, making sure that the punish is there, making sure that you don't get away with those free kills. And, well, they say goodbye to you, and the Natural Killers get taken out just like that. And that's the way the game goes. That's just how it is. G3 on the roll once again, moving over to the side to see what they can see, ready to shut down in anyone who stands in their way. Of course, the rotation's coming through now as that zone has moved up towards the north, up to boot camp, which is currently empty. Lots and lots of teams down towards the southwest and towards the east. Of course, the G3 being one of those teams in towards the east who needs to make a rotate up. But this is going to start to get really, really tough because all of the positions are taken up. There's very little space left in the zone. You can see that even G3 are now getting themselves punished as they start to move in, although they will dish out a little bit of punishment of their own.
Oh man, Zeus just stepping up with that defensive play on the edge of that zone. But of course now they are not done just yet. They need to continue on with their efforts, trying to find the shots into G3 as Fantasy does exactly that. Finds the opening on towards Gunner. Everything now up to 6 God. This is where the starts mounting up as the blue zone closes in. This is the 4th phase blue zone, so it's going to start doing a little bit more than a tickle. It's going to start bringing in all that additional bits of damage alongside it. But the teams are going to face quite a bit of a challenge coming into the zone, especially like we saw over towards the south, because they all need to push up that ridge line, and we've got a few teams already occupying that space, holding that angle. But now G3, they also 6, he needs to try and make a play. It's going to be a really tough one. The only way is forward, and unfortunately for him, it is a very open piece of land, open stretch, and it's going to be so tough to get through that. Well, I don't know whether or not he's got enough utils in his bag to safely cross this distance. But now, you see the players from Zeus still holding angle and not just yet want to get those shots into the side there of G3. They want to send 6 God back. But of course now, if they stay here too long, it's going to be a very costly rotation for them as well.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And here come the shots down from Mercury. Raining from Influence, Rage putting those shots across as the teams do start to move their way on in lag, trying to make their way up with that blue zone on their heels. Things are not going to be very easy here, and up it comes slowly but surely, pushing them forward. They're not going to have a very good time if they stay in place, but they certainly won't if they move either. So many difficult decisions to make, and the punishment is coming through. 6 God actually going to be the next to take a hit, so everyone is feeling the pain right now. 8 teams remaining, 27 players left alive. The smokes are getting popped as the rotations do start to come through from Influence, Rage as well. They know that the fire is being lit right underneath them, and they have to get moving. Guns now on the rotation as well, trying to move on up. Everyone trying to fight their way up towards that line, but with the blue zone encroaching, they also have to fight the teams that are rotating up behind them. They're fighting so many players at once. They're fighting each other. They're fighting the blue zone. It is just absolutely nuts at the moment. Everyone pushing on forward as that zone comes through. Pound's trying to put heat in as well, trying to do a little bit of gatekeeping, but the blue zone's there as well to start doing some damage, so he has to be super quick on the trigger. There comes the knock, trying to go for the thirst as well, just absolutely going through that blue zone. He is still alive at the time, being Mercury going to be putting those shots across as well. Everyone is just trying to land them, and those numbers are dropping one by one.
And all this chain fighting now just coming on through, but of course that is exactly what we were expecting. Seeing the number of teams still alive, the number of players still remaining in this match, and of course there Papa Blue comes in, swooping in, claiming its victims as it closes in, and we move up into our 6th phase. But Gun is still holding strong. They still have 3 players remaining, now trying to rotate up in towards the south, trying to find that angle onto the side there of the players from the Comfy Cartel. As you can see, Lala and Co now just hugging the edge of the rocks here, but of course Lala gets knocked alongside Brody. And it's going to be a very interesting play to see whether or not the rest of their team will be trying to avenge them. As we can see, Squeak and Co just positioned a little bit further up towards the north of this current angle. And it's going to be a pretty tough one nonetheless, as we get so many teams, 13 players still in the vicinity. And the zone is absolutely tiny. But of course now here comes Bounce just to seal it up, close it up, and send them back into the lobby. 12 players remain. We got the Immortalz up ahead. We got the players there from Influence, Rage, but Gun now getting struck into the side there as the players from Immortalz start moving on in. We've seen them in this position. They've been hovering around there, just waiting for their moment to strike. now things look a little bit better for them as they start to move on up, but also now Influence Rage come rotating around over towards that western end, finding those angles in and towards the Immortalz, and now everything is up towards Python and his teammate there, Umar, to try and get Jeff back up and fighting, but of course Influence Rage are still going to continue to try and move a little bit further forward. Now, Cartel and Gun just held up in these compounds. There's Gun now going for a bit of a parkour maneuver there. Oh, bounce down on Mercury. Finds a beautiful angle, but of course now everything is up to Nerf. And I think, yes, Nerf is the last remaining player for the Gun team as he now makes that rush in. Oh, it is so hairy. Bounce managing to just hide behind that tree for the time being, but of course he needs to now think of a way. How is he going to play this? How is he going to try and rotate up? Is he going to try and deal with the players from Cartel first before moving in? The answer is yes. He finds a beautiful angle on towards Squeak. Now, of course, we wait to see what True is going to be doing, because this is a really tough position. If you rotate out, you put yourself into the open of all the teams in the vicinity. But of course, now, fortunately for Pounds, the nade coming in from True gets cooked a little bit too long and explodes mid-air. But the Immortalz, they are looking pretty strong. They're not in zone just yet, but they have the number advantages. They now also start to make their way on forward, pushing up a little bit further in towards that zone. But Pounds, once again, now just patiently waiting. He's very close to the edge of that zone, not in the zone just yet, but he's going to try and inch his way forward as we see Squeak there from Cartel now succumbing to the blue zone. It is now up to True for Cartel to make that final play. 4 teams remain. So you can see the players there from Influence Rage, of course, now just huddling up in the smokes. We've got the mollies being sent over towards Cartel. The blue zone coming in, forcing True forward. He has no other option. Makes that rotation, manages to evade the mollies for the time being. But the Immortalz just spreading themselves up through that zone. Hensley gets spotted down. He goes, beautiful reaction coming in from Jeff. Of course, now trying to see if there's anyone else, but now we are down to our only 3 teams. Make that 2, as we see True there from Cartel getting eliminated, and once again we see Gun making it up into this final zone. Absolutely insane performance coming in from Gun, but will this be the game in which they claim that chicken dinner? As we can see a little bit of damage already being done to the Immortalz. Gun being closer to the zone. Immortalz have to try and make that rotation, but of course, if they spot out Pounds, that is going to be the end. Oh, they did find the angle and they confirm it all the way through. Down they go. The Immortalz steal the chicken dinner, and of course, doing so in a very strong way. As you can see, they finished up their play there on 9 kills. But of course, Gun, what a stellar performance for them. 7 kills in 2nd place, and again, finishing in 2nd place.
Yeah, I have to say that I am so baffled as to how Pounds was able to survive for so long, because if you were watching him just now, if you were paying attention to only what he was doing, it is so crazy how this man managed to stay alive as long as he did. This guy was running into the blue zone to collect kills. He was running around rocks into the blue zone, picking up a kill, running around the blue zone, going around a tree, picking up a kill on like 1 HP. I mean, this guy is fearless. 1 HP, he's just like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go for it, run around. This guy's behind a tree, I have no cover. It's fine, it's fine. It'll work out. And he just goes for it. He gets the kill, and it works out. And he's the last one alive for his team. At that point, it was like, this guy needs to die. There's no ways he survives, right? His whole team is now dead. Everyone knows where he is, but he manages to stay alive all the way into 2nd place. Now, of course, right at the end there was no way he was going to 1v3 that. It's always a possibility, but I mean, at that point, everyone knows where you are. You're kind of done for. But that was impressive, to say the least, to be able to stay alive as long as he did and pick up as many kills as he did, really coming in handy and just doing the most for his team right there.
The super excitement that is Sandhawk visiting like Umzansi Esports League Season 3, and the action never disappoints. These final circles have been so intense in our games, and I can't even imagine what's going to happen when we get to Miramar. DK, for you, what was your highlight of that last match in Sandhawk?
Well, we saw some pretty interesting parkour moves coming in from Gun, moving up into that final few zones. I mean, but I gotta say, I gotta give it to Pounds. I mean, the man got knocked, he got raised. He got knocked, he got raised. He got knocked, he got raised. And he just kept on pushing, just sneaking up into that beautiful position. Yes, they didn't get the chicken dinner, but still an absolute stellar performance all the way through.
Now, we do have an updated leaderboard. Let's take a quick look at what the standings look like. We do this now. Well, actually, yeah, let's take a look at the boards from this new match after Group B and C. Patchy, what's happening over here?
So, of course, Immortalz picking up that first place, that chicken dinner, 15 points coming in. The 9 kills also going to supplement their 24 total points for that game. Gun coming in second place, of course, that 12 points for second place, and the 7 kills coming through for them also going to be a really nice number. The Comfy Cartel actually going to be taking up a third place with 17 points, so definitely a nice performance from them, especially considering they didn't do all as much well as they wanted to do in the previous game. Influence Rage taking up that 4th place with 11, followed closely by Lag with 10 points. And then, of course, Natural Killers and Zero Tolerance Skills with the 9 points each. The Drogons with 5 in 8th. I have to say, though, the Natural Killers looking a lot better in the game we just watched. Looking a little bit more surgical and very well executed in their ability to take fights.
Well, looking at the second page of the title, I feel actually very sorry for people like Rainbow Six Madagascar. I did have high hopes for G3 Temper, but they're all the way down in the bottom half of the standings. But that for the second game, let's take a look at the MVP for the second game after the matches.
Of course.
Woo! No surprise. No surprise. I mean, Mr. Pounds, he was pounding his way through into that final zone. Absolutely insane play. Well done, my guy. 5 kills. Yeah, that is a well-deserved MVP right there. Yeah. I cannot argue with that. Well done. Agree. That was beautifully played. Yeah.
So we've just witnessed some amazing gameplay in the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Northern Gaming. At this point, I do it every single time. I remind everyone that if you are not following Northern Gaming on all our socials, you need to do so now to stay up to date with the latest information from the Umzansi Esports League and all our other assets, including what's happening next week and in the future. Now, we have one more map to go in today's games, and we'll be right back to take a look at the updated leaderboards and the action from our game 3 today after this break. I'm still Dr. Sid, and here with Patchy and DK. Hi guys, welcome back. This is still the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Nodwing Gamers. My name is Dr. Sid, here with DK and Patchy, witnessing some amazing esports talent showing off on PUBG Mobile, the game. It has been an exciting day, gentlemen. We have seen some really amazing upsets, some teams coming up and showing us that this show isn't over. If anything, it is just the beginning. We've had some action going on, and let's take a look at how the two games from Group B versus Group C have affected the overall leaderboard.
All right, let's head into it. It's 4KT still sitting on top, of course, with that 101 points. Going to be difficult to beat. Rain from Hell still sitting in second place, 86 points, followed by the Immortalz with 74 points in third place. Of course, Sincerity sitting in the fourth place now, 71 points, followed by G3 Temper with 69, nice, in fifth place. Undisputed AE with the sixth position there, 64 points. Zero Torrent Skills, 61 points in seventh place, and NFxUNIQUE in eighth place with 54 points. So actually, the majority of the first page of the leaderboard there looking relatively close in terms of points.
Yeah, definitely looking super close. But of course, as we move into the second page, we see the players there from Spaza 6 currently sitting over in 9th place on 46. Gun also now moving up all the way into 10th place, also on 46 points. Influence Rage in 11th on 43. You got Ultra 6 moving down to 12th place on 40 points. The Outsiders Officials in 13th place, of course, on 39 points. Citizens Gaming 14th place, 36 points. We got Pain Africa in 15th with 34. And then also we see the players from Aphelion Apex sitting in 16th place, also on 34 points. So this is really starting to get pretty close as we move into the second page, or the third page rather, where we now have the players there from a Rainbow Six Madagascar up in 17th, sitting on 34. We have the players from Young Thunder sitting in 18th place, also on 34 points. The Drogons moving up a little bit, coming in there on 19th place with 33. Natural Killers, also a bit of an improvement there and there. Standings 20th, 32 points. BBC 21st place, 31 points. Black Clover 22nd with 29. We see Fear also then in 23rd place, also sitting on 29 points. And then of course the Comfy Cartel sitting in 24th place on 28 points.
Yeah, and what I'm actually taking away from this leaderboard so far as we move into the last page is that things are quite close within the bulk of the most of the leaderboard. So 25th position and 26th position with 27 points, it's Lag and Euphoric Gods respectively. 27th position, we've got Not Gaming on 23 points. 28th place, we've got Blank Legion with 9. 29, we've got Nibble with 5 points. And then, of course, in 30th position, it's Toxic with 4. But as I was saying, you know, the bulk of the leaderboard is actually relatively close to one another at the very least. So there is actually a lot of potential for shifting here in this leaderboard still. Any of these teams could, you know, given the right amount of points, move themselves upward.
Look, I have seen this leaderboard shift like sands on a beach, and I know that over the next couple of weeks, what we're expecting is a lot of action. And as I know, there was a song by an artist, I can't remember who it is, and the line goes, "It ain't safe." Now, it definitely isn't safe for anyone on any of these leaderboards, because the fact of the matter is that anybody can come and take a good position. Now, noticing some of the movements that have happened, it's always down to the kill points. And these kill points are showing that the teams that are going hard are moving up the leaderboards with a lot of pain. Gun. Gamers Unite Nations literally have flown up the leaderboards just by racking up those kills in these games. Now we are going into Miramar, where obviously it's all about the long range, it's all about the distance. I say Miramar reminds me of Afghanistan. Now, I know you guys you have your favorite teams. We have seen teams who are more excited about different kinds of maps. Who are we looking at, Patchy, to sort of showcase, I mean, in this group B and C, who are the teams more likely, in your opinion or in your experience, to show up on this particular map?
Well, the last time we came around and you asked me that question, I said Tempo was definitely in the running, and I think they still are, especially based on the performance that we're seeing here today. They're definitely getting a lot warmer, getting into their style, starting to fill their shoes and get warmed up for the season ahead. And so, with the Tempo looking like that, I think G3 Tempo definitely have a good chance of being able to make something happen here. It definitely is a map that we've seen them be comfortable on traditionally. But I think the same could be said for any team that is feeling themselves moving into this season, because this does open itself up to a lot of the traditional teams that we do see coming up from the previous seasons. We did actually interview a couple of the teams and ask them, what's your favorite map, what's your favorite play style, and a lot of them did actually say, we do enjoy Miramar, we do enjoy that long range. So if any of the teams are feeling the heat, any of them could really step up here. And I mean, Gun have been doing a good job, like you said. We've seen them move up some serious positions here, just with the with them being on fire in terms of kills. Of course, getting the 2 second places can certainly not hurt. And so, I mean, when you're looking at that, it's a really good position for any team that's really feeling that game. If they're feeling the fire inside, just absolutely go for it. So I'm really hoping that we do see the team step up. But of course, it most likely is going to be some of those bigger names that we do expect to perform.
And DK, I know that we do have a long way to go. There's still a lot of PUBG to be played. But at what point do the teams at the bottom of this leaderboard realize that they really need to bring their A game? Otherwise, it's going to be too late for them to make it back.
Honestly, when they decide to realize that, I mean, it is they know how they are playing these games. They know how they are performing. And it essentially comes down to whether or not that they flick the switch and decide, you know what, this is now, we've had it. We're going to go for it. We're going to give it our all. We're going to try and push as far up that leaderboard as we possibly can. And yeah, looking to see which of these teams will be flicking those switches.
Well, the production team has flipped that switch, and we are flying over Miramar right now. And I'm going to leave everyone watching our various streams right now in the very capable hands of Patchy and DK. This is still the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Nordwing Gaming. Let's go right into the action.
Let's get it. Thank you so much, Dr. Sid. Now we are heading into that Miramar map, the final map for this evening. And it is going to be interesting to see who turns it up, who flicks the switches, who flicks that on switch and gets the momentum, gets the kills. We've seen Gun do a really good job, and it's great to see them climbing that leaderboard up from their position that they found themselves in before this week. And it's good to see them climbing back up there, getting some of those points in. Of course, we've got a couple of other teams in the conversation. But, I mean, like DK said, it is literally just a case of who is going to decide to show up. Because right now we are playing for some insane stakes here. You saw the prize pool in the beginning, during the breaks. You saw that prize pool. It is big. And, I mean, if the teams don't decide to take it seriously, if the teams don't decide to show up, that is just their loss. So moving into this, we've got a nice southern flight path and also a southern zone.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's gonna be a tough one. Not gonna lie. Already seeing Los Leones looking pretty hot and spicy, but it's gonna be interesting to see which team is the one to come out on top of this match. Of course, we've had a few predictions come in social media. So, Patchy, take us through it.
All right, yeah. So of course we do have those predictions coming through on social media. So we have one prediction saying Tampa's going to take 3 of those chicken dinners. So quite a bold claim there, not exactly going to come true, but certainly not too far off the cards. We did see Tampa performing pretty well, at least. We have one more coming in for Tampa as well on this list. So that's 2 for Tampa. Let's count up the tallies. I think I see one more. So that's 3 total. Vouching there for Tampa. We have a couple for Sincerity coming through there. Of course, we have one for Lag, a couple for ZTS, Zero Tolerance coming through there, and some predictions for BBC as well. So yeah, there's a couple of hopeful predictions coming in there, as well as 2 for Nibble. Definitely want to be seeing those come through, but have not just yet. But I guess we can hold thumbs.
Yeah, you can hold thumbs, you can hold index fingers, you can hold pretty much what you'd like. But now, we're waiting to see how the teams are going to play this one. All right, we got the players here from the Natural Killers all the way far separated from the rest of the teams. And now, as we jump over in towards Picado, this is where things start to look a little bit tighter. We got Pain, we got the players here from Zeus just holding up, moving about. Now, speaking about tough, we see the players here from Toxic also trying to move on up with those heads coming in. Vegeta already getting knocked out. So Toxic really having a tough day today.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams that are having a little bit of a tough day today, but yeah, there's still a little bit of time left. Of course, there is this game, and then we still have the rest of the season. But oh man, they're just not feeling all too good about a couple of things that are going down there. A couple of casualties for Toxic. So yeah, having a little bit of a tough time. Trying to maybe bounce back later. We still have the rest of the season to go. But like Dr. Sid alluded to, I mean, we are moving in towards that position of, which are going to be the teams moving into the next phase. Now, it is going to be 24 teams, so there is a pretty big zone to get yourself inside. So at least there's that. But I mean, right now, team like Toxic, for instance, is going to want to kick into gear sometime soon, going to want to flip that switch sometime soon if their intention is to stay in the tournament at the moment.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, you definitely need to make that play. I mean, this is one of the last opportunities these teams will have to improve their overall standings and to get themselves up in towards that top 24. But I mean, also the players from Not Gaming, that's also one of the teams that needs, they need points. They're currently sitting over in 27th place. All right, so only a few more to jump, and it's not that much points that they require. They only require about 5 points. So if they have a decent game today, it can move them up in towards that top 24 position. So looking to see how they're going to fare in this one, how they're going to play, and potentially just move themselves into that angle. But of course now, this is where things are going to be tough for a few more. That of course being the players from Toxic and Nibble, as we see them sitting at the bottom end of that leaderboard. So definitely hoping that the game goes a little bit better there for them. But now it is just how things work out. It is the flow of these tournaments, just to see which teams will be moving up, where they can find those points. And the more aggressive start you can get, the more you benefit off of that, as we see that mentality coming in for several teams sitting at the top of that leaderboard.
Yeah, and I mean, it is ultimately down to each team, to really get it done. It's only them who can bring themselves out of the slump, get themselves that points, get something going. And that's up to each and every team to make happen, So it really is, they're the masters of their own fate, trying to get a grip on all of the elements of this game. That is the goal, that is the idea. That's why we have these tournaments, is to determine who is the best every single season, and that will always be the team that's managed to just control as much of those elements of the game as possible and really mastered as many of them as they can, and so here we are, a couple of fights happening in the early game. Not Gaming going to get hammered. That's Zeus trying to take some fights. Shroud does go down, but the instant reply comes through in the Thirst as well, so Sella going to capitalize on that. Natural Killers do take that kill super quickly. Not Gaming Squad now moving in to potentially reply, but they're going to have to be really careful because the Natural Killers have been looking pretty good in their attacks so far. So it might just be a bit of a difficult one to attack them. In they come, and actually they're going to be cheeky. They're just going to go straight into the building, push through, take some kills, take some shots, but they will take quite a bit of damage in response as well. And going up against a team like the Natural Killers, that maybe is a little bit too cheeky.
Yeah, I mean, Yaga now facing quite a bit of a challenge to go up against that full squad, as you mentioned. But now Natural Killers, they've got one player knocked on their side, so it's going to be an easy race for them to pull that off and secure the compound for the time being. But of course, Jagger now using this opportunity to just get the heck out of there. Just falling back, making sure that he is safe for the time being, trying to recover a little bit more health before continuing to push further on. And of course, now the Natural Killers just trying to, just collect themselves once again, as we have that blue zone also now starting to move in. So this is where we want to see the teams start focusing on those rotations, trying to plan how they're going to get back up in towards that zone and potentially position themselves strong or, really well for the next phase.
Yeah, so right now what we're seeing is, of course, that blue zone washing over and just pushing them forward just a little bit. Of course, it's not going to be too much of an issue. That first zone doesn't do all that much damage. The teams do have a little bit of leeway, but of course, you don't want to get caught out there, so they do have to move forward. Jaeger's still going to be alive for the Not Gaming squad, but they might just try and, change that. So we'll see. For the moment, though, all the teams will be moving in that southern zone. Definitely not what the teams are very much used to. Most of the zones here do not go that far south, and it'll be interesting to see if the zone actually shifts south again, because that will definitely take these teams out of their comfort zone, which will be quite interesting to see. But for the time being, the rotations are coming through, and we'll see if those teams can get themselves set up, in the cover and get themselves ready for the next engagement. And it's always interesting to see, especially on this map where we have some bigger open areas in that sense, what the teams do, because we definitely have a little bit more of a clear phase in between that early sort of looting phase, then moving into the rotational phase, especially if the zone is very much separated from the flight path. Then you do get that sense where a lot of teams have the advantage in terms of being closer to the zone, and they can set up some more of those gatekeeping maneuvers and whatnot. So it's always interesting to see that, if that comes through, if that happens, and the impact of that in the game. And we are sort of moving into that region now as the teams do start to make their way through. The rotations are coming through, but so far, most of the teams relatively unscathed.
Yeah, and we could see that continue on for a little while. As we know, this is a fairly big map, and there's so much space for these teams to move into. Yes, we've got 15 teams. We are in the second phase. But of course, the teams are going to try and hold out on these engagements as long as they can, trying to secure themselves in a decent position in the coming phases, and potentially even for the phases thereafter. But now, looking up in towards the northern reaches of the zone, you can see the Dragons starting to move in. We've got the Beast and Co. pretty close to the players there from G3 as well. So things could get a little bit hairy, as you can see Pay now right here alongside the G3, as we just mentioned, holding up in towards Picardo, and Payne trying to set up the defensive lines, trying to hold the players from G3 from rotating in, as we see Gunner now getting knocked out. Six God quickly jumping in the vehicle, just trying to move back into a little bit of safety, trying to reinforce his teammates. Beautiful maneuvers though that we see coming in there with those buggies. Fortunately, he manages to live another day and tell the tale. But Buden, now just in the opposite end, finds a beautiful quick hit into the side of Beast. Now it is up to Kingerman and Hawk to make the play for the Payne team.
Yeah, Payne, I saw a lot of really fancy footwork there to try and get something going there. So that is definitely interesting to see. I'm hoping we see a little bit more of that coming out of Payne. I think that's potentially a sign of some better performances that could come through from them moving forward. But for the moment, it's going to be G3 Tampa just coming through, doing what they do best, and really just making your day that much worse when it comes to your hopes and dreams for trying to take those chickens. They just come in, they take the kills, and they are absolutely ruthless because they hunt you right down to the last. Now, Hawk very much separated from the rest of the team, not there to support, which means Payne is basically done for in this area, and indeed that thirst will come through. And so they're left with their last and final member, Hawk, all the way to the zone line. And not much you can do. G3, they're in and they're out. So just like that, Payne has pretty much lost all of their players and a lot of their prospects. So they're going to have to lone wolf this one out. Hawk going to have to try his best as that lone wolf. Now, we've seen the lone wolves do some pretty decent work in the past, historically. But whether that's something we can expect at this point, I'm not too sure. We'll just have to wait and see.
It's definitely going to be a pretty tough call for a lot of these teams as things are starting to heat up, especially over here in Chumasera. I mean, we got the players from Zeus holding that angle just a little bit further up towards the north. We, of course, see the team here from Rainbow Six, Madagascar, trying to find the angles on towards them. And it is an interesting position we see both of these teams in, but I'm really looking to see who's going to try and push up. Will we see Rainbow Six get a little bit aggressive because they have that compound advantage? Whereas the players from Zeus, they also have a few compounds, but it depends on where this next zone goes. So if it just stays on top of them, so they cannot just wait it out. I was hoping the zone shifts up a little bit, like just separating the two teams, but now it is their opportunity to play. And now if they want to get aggressive, this is where they have the perfect opportunity to do exactly that. And we're going to be looking to see exactly who's going to be the first one to step on up. Because at the current moment, we see the players from Zeus positioned all the way over towards... I'm trying to find them on that leaderboard. I can't see the name. Oh, there we go. They're all the way in 25th place. And right up in front of them, as we know, we've got the players there from Rainbow Six. They up in 17, so it's going to be a super important fight there for them. But of course, now G3 just striking into the side there of Pain, finding head and head again. Beautifully done. And, well, they wrap it up. Now they need to focus on getting into the zone. Only 5 seconds remain.
Yeah, you know, I said that they hunt you down to the last, and that was not an exaggeration. They take Pain out all but one, and they're like, no, we're going to find the last one. We're going to take him out as well. Going to make sure that team is done. Because, you know, this goes back to a little bit more of a mindset that we were talking about very far back, even in the previous season, of how taking those positions away are actually hugely beneficial. Sure, it does help other teams because it technically moves them up a slot, but it moves you up as well, and that's what you should be focusing on. You are number one at this point. You have to focus on yourself. You have to focus on those kills. You have to focus on those placements. So taking out those 4 kills is great, but if you get that last player, you also get the position, and that's huge as well. So really, really ruthless play coming out from G3 Temper there. In the meantime, of course, Gun putting some shots in that kill feed. And we have Rainbow Six also taking a peek towards Lag, who have quite a lot to do for themselves. They've really got to bring themselves out of this slump where they do find themselves to be at the moment. So they are slowly moving up. Rainbow Six taking a couple of peeks. Gun, they've managed to move themselves up inside that zone. There were quite a few teams that needed to move in from the north and the east, but now they've just made their way on in, sort of crossing that line, getting themselves in. But can they find a good position? Can they find a position to leverage against the surrounding teams? We're about to find out. In the meantime, BBC putting a couple of shots over towards the Drogons as well. BBC's performance definitely been a lot better than we saw to begin with. Let's see if they can keep that performance up. They are picking up some decent kills there. Lord and Nihal going to be chiming in that kill feed. Of course, Lag still on the approach, although they don't have to get too aggressive because they are currently inside that zone. So for the time being, they are still good to go. They've got some good control, although they are a little bit split up. BBC still actually going for it. They will find a player from G3 in the meantime.
There's a lot of potential to come in, but it's... I don't know if I really like this position anymore that we see Rainbow Six and the players there from Zeus. But of course, we have a nice fight just over towards the western side, as you mentioned. BBC, G3, the Dragons, they're all right there alongside each other. So I'm hoping that one of those teams actually starts venturing a little bit further in towards this region. As you can see, those third-party shots now starting to find their way up. BBC, of course, striking into the side there of G3. But I'm really waiting for the players there from Rainbow Six Madagascar and the team from Zeus to rotate out of that compound. They can't stay there. They can't hide. They need to move out. They need to get in and get those points. So you can see G3, they're being really proactive, making their way around, finding themselves in positions, and of course taking engagements. BBC also right there alongside them, also continuing on with the fight as Law just trying to stay up ahead of them. Of course, Falak and Lord up on the ridge right behind them. A really difficult dance to do with all these players still remaining in the vicinity. But of course now Nihal comes up from behind, and now that Lord gets knocked out. Law manages to recover a little bit of health. Nihal on the approach, trying to get ahead of that blue zone. They've got only a few seconds on the clock, but Law now getting hit. Quick response coming in there from Six God. But now, of course, we wait to see whether or not the players here from G3 will be able to continue with this momentum as Six gets knocked out. Falak not backing off just yet.
Oh man, respect coming out for BBC, just straight up stepping up to the plate and challenging G3 Temper then, saying, you know what, we're not going to let you take all of this free real estate. We're going to want some of that for ourselves. Now, of course, that has meant that they've wasted a lot of time here towards the edges of zone, so they're going to have to fight even harder now as that blue zone starts creeping up, encroaching on their position, and we're moving from 4 to 5. That means that blue zone is absolutely terrifying. You're going to put the shots in towards Law. He will find the kill as well. BBC in a bit of a difficult spot. They're going to have to get that rotate. G3 also need to make their way across. That blue zone is just tickling them right now, but you really don't want to get tickled by that blue zone. It is just going to absolutely take your health away. Super quick. Now Ainsley looking for those long range shots, going to catch a couple of those shots, actually almost takes him down. but doesn't manage to find that final shot, and in fact is going to call the wrath of hate down upon him from the side of Zero Tolerance. So going to be exposing himself just a little bit there. The shots coming in from Hate. He's going to try and put them in, try and find those last nails in the coffin for Sully, and indeed he will be able to put them in now, turning his attention back towards G3. We'll see if they can put those shots in the play zone, of course, doing what it does best and punishing those insolent enough to stay within its grasp for too long.
Oh man, it is getting it to be such a challenging zone, especially down in the south. That's why I like these southern zone shifts. But now you can see the players here from Zero Tolerance holding up Nibble right there alongside them. So this is the moment for Nibble to shine. This is the moment for them to step up, find those hits, get the action going, bring in those points, and of course they step up doing exactly that. As you can see, that first shot was hitting straight in towards Evasion. But now the rest of the Zero Tolerance team just up ahead, still holding their position. As you can see, Hates, Skydo, and of course Vortex holding up, waiting to see where Nibble is going to try and push on up into. As we see Sunny, Vindog, and of course Sidon now just reaching over. So Ronnie getting knocked out. Oh, almost making that push. But now Vindog and Sidon trying to come up the rear, trying to play that last bit they can. As you can see, Vortex now sending the Utils over, trying to cause an extra little bit of damage. Fortunately, they managed to evade, but they've sent one up in response. Skydo now using this opportunity to sneak on up right on the side of them. Fortunately, Nibble's quick to react, managing to evade the damage for the time being, but Sidon cooking up yet another one, sends it over. Will it be the one to find the spot? Oh, not just yet, but it is getting so close. Zero Tolerance now starting to spread out the zone, popping up once again. They're trying to get up in towards Vortex to try and get that raise back up so they can move up further. But of course, now this is where we wait to see exactly what Nibble is going to do with the situation. But Hates just up ahead, manages to sneak in through the trees. But Nibble, now realizing the urgency of their rotation, breaks away, disengage, and start moving towards a vehicle to potentially get into a much better positioning.
Yeah, things are definitely heating up at the moment, getting a little bit more spicy as that zone gets smaller and smaller. Rainbow Six now trying to hold a position at the top of the stairs, but not going to find the angle and immediately going to get punished out of position. As, well, Gun just moves straight on up, and they are ruthless as well, trying to pick off the stragglers. Lag pushing off to the one side. They've got control of the building. But is that going to be enough? Will they be able to fight Gun off? Nerfme moving his way on up to see what he can find. The rest of Gun coming in to support him as the teams have started their rotations as well. That zone looking nice and small there. 9 teams remaining as they try and squeeze their way on into this zone. Things are going to start to absolutely go crazy. Lag trying to defend their position as Gun now push on up for the assault, ready to just pick up those kills. Are they going to get them for free is the question. There goes one as Pounds puts them in. G3 also doing a little bit of work, but Gun continuing that assault and just not letting Lag get a chance at all. Just immediately annihilating them 1 for 1. No problem. Lag gets taken out. They are just not having a good day here. And Gun, well, they're having a much better day. Certainly picking up those kills, picking up those placements, moving forward. 8 teams remaining as Nibble are finding some of the kills that they were looking for. G3 going to continue doing what they do. And, you know, just be a thorn on everyone's side, put those shots in, take you out bit by bit. Those teams slowly going down one by one with 7 teams remaining, 18 players left. They have found themselves some solidified positions in zone, but that zone is about to change.
Man, and that is going to change quite a considerable bit as we're about to move into our 6th phase. You can see that blue zone just creeping its way on in. The hits now continue to fly into that kill feed. But of course, just up ahead, we've got the players there from Gun who made a really strong push on that compound. Of course, clearing it for their own. But now G3 coming up behind the players here from Cartel. Could be an interesting position. Of course, G3 just playing those height advantages, trying to gather as much information as they can as the zone now shifts up once again, right up in favor of them. So if they are able to secure and fortify this region, they could really cause quite a bit of damage to the teams who are yet to rotate on in. Of course, the players there from Cartel sitting quite comfy over in that northern section, but then do need to move back up in towards zone. Gun, of course, now need to get out of their compound, but of course just scouting out the hills, trying to make sure that everything is good and gravy before rotating out. You can see Nibble just up ahead of them as well, hiding in those smokes, just trying to use the cover for as long as they can before making that play. But now Sidon tries to step on out, gets a quick shot coming in towards him. Romney gets knocked out as well, Ronnie rather. But now we see Plaza there from Gunner making that first anchor point move right up in towards the zone. 7 teams remain, and this is going to be such a challenging zone for a lot of these teams to actually try and move into. But of course, Nerf now stepping up with these mini sets a few shots up into the side there of G3, because now BBC just slowly using this opportunity to creep on in. Definitely expecting a lot of chaos to erupt. As you can see, Squeak there from Cartel, not just getting hit, but of course Cartel down to 1 influence rage, also right there up on the hill, coming in from that southern side. But Nerf just still focusing onto the side of G3.
Oh man, what a tragic end there for Nibble. Have been performing a lot better in this game. Not going to find what they want as they get laid out. Of course, G3 continuing to do what they do, standing at the top of the hill. They really like their height advantage positions, and it certainly is working out as Gun feeling the brunt of that. Some nice sniper shots coming in there. Gun have managed to keep themselves alive for the time being, but how long can that last against a G3 who has that height advantage? And they've got some really crack shots. As you can see, Plaza getting taken down. Flaku just absolutely mauling him. Rez is trying to come through the smoke, but it's a difficult position to play, and you've got so many Rezes that need to come through. Aimbot does get picked up. Plaza also needs to get picked up, but Nerf, he's focused on trying to take those engagements, trying to keep himself on the back line. But G3, there's too many crosshairs, and Flecko just too quick on the trigger. He's going to find that shot immediately. Hainsley now going to come in for the punish, the third party, just to keep G3 honest. But how long is it going to last? G3 trying to get the res in as well, keep themselves alive. That zone looking absolutely minuscule. 5 teams remaining, but that is going to change very, very soon as the fights continue, the conflict continues. Nerf gets taken down, and Hainsley gets naded out of existence by Nova, who's also under some heavy fire, very low on HP, and he goes down as well. That's Gun putting the final nail in the coffin. 3 teams remaining here. It's Gun, it's G3. They're going at it here, still on this hill, but who's going to come out victorious? High ground is to G3, but so far, Gun have managed to keep themselves in this one.
I mean, I don't see Gunner backing out of that one anytime soon, as they are going to continue relentlessly to find those angles up towards G3. As you can see, Plaza now also just trying to venture out. Bounds getting knocked out by Buden. So G3 really putting up quite a beautiful performance. Plaza sending one over into the side of Flacco. We got Plaza now pushing up once again, trying to find those shots into the side there of 6. But of course, now Gunner sends a quick one down, just trying to secure the position. Oh, Plaza gets knocked. Aimbot gets knocked, and down goes Gun. It is now G3 up against the side of BBC to battle it out for this chicken dinner. G3 just holding on relentlessly to this compound, but now we wait to see whether or not they'll be able to make it through, as Buden just pushes up so aggressively onto the side there of Nahal. Down he goes, everything now down to Lord. It's going to be quite the challenge for him to go up against the 4-man team, which is of course the players there from G3. But Lord, about to get pushed, as we see Flacco just holding the edge of that zone, waiting for Lord to expose himself so they can find those nails into that coffin and send them back, claiming that chicken dinner. Is going to be such a close one. BBC already sitting on 6, but G3 sitting on 14 kills. You can see Flacco now right there up in front of Lord. It's a mere moments until he succumbs to the hits, succumbs to the pressure. But Lord finds a quick one in, and Gunner seals the deal in fashion, claiming the chicken dinner with a buggy, not even spending a single bullet in that final fight. But what a way for G3 to finish off the final match of today, coming in with 15 kills. And of course, BBC finishing off strong as well on 6 kills. But I mean, then look at Gun. 12 kills in this match. Absolutely insane by these top 3 teams.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. G3 coming in with some insane kills. But listen, I said before this match started, I called G3, I called BBC, and I said, who, if not some big names, we're going to see? And who is big, if not BBC? And those are the top 3 teams, straight up. I'm not saying patchy big brain predictions, but damn.
It's all in the numbers. It's all in the numbers, you know. And I have to say, you did call it. G3 have shown over time that they do understand Miramar, and it definitely is their sports, because they definitely came clutch there to come away with a winner chicken dinner. It's so good to see teams like BBC do it, and Gun being very consistent today, racking up the points to get them up that leaderboard into a position to guarantee them qualification into the semi-finals. And let's take a look at the updated leaderboard of today's games.
Yeah, all right, there it is. G3 Temper sitting at the top there, 30 points. They're 15 placement kills, 15 placement points and kills. I must say, my words are getting a bit mixed up here, but that's because they've literally doubled their chicken dinner here. They were like, yeah, we're going to take this chicken dinner, but we're also going to take another one because kills. And that's where they're sitting right now. Just 30 points, slap bang right onto their kill score. That's going to jet them straight up that leaderboard. Continuing on in that fashion, Gun going to be picking up 22 points in that second place. BBC, of course, in that third position with 18 points. Natural Killers coming in with 12. Good to see them coming up there. And as well as Nibble with the 7 points in the fifth place. Good to see them up in the top 5 here of the leaderboard. Then, of course, down into 6 is Influence Rage Africa with 7 points. The Comfy Cartel with 7th position with 4 points. And Lag in 8th position with those 3 points. And of course,
that was a really...
Yeah, no, I mean...
I was just saying, that was really, really tough. That whole game, that whole zone, just where it kept on pushing. Absolutely relentless stuff. I mean, that top half of the leaderboard just looking absolutely phenomenal. But now, looking at the second page, we see the players there from Not Gaming sitting in 9th place on 2.0 tolerance in 10th on 2. We got the players from Toxic coming into 11th on 1. The Drogons in 12th on 1. Rainbow 6, Madagascar in 13th on 1. And then, of course, Spain and the Immortalz not bringing in any points in this match. But definitely a super challenging zone and really testing out the skills of these teams.
Yeah, that is definitely what's happening.
And look, as we take a look at the MVP of the match, and it is Pounds from Gun. The players from Gun today have put in the work and have been our MVPs, if I'm not mistaken, in all 3 matches, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, Gun, this is their second MVP. This is the second MVP that Pounds has been able to take. He got 5 kills in the previous one and now finishing off on 7. So definitely seeing that increase in performance, and really good to see that coming in from Gun. Really strong game.
Absolutely. I've actually been waiting for Gun to bring themselves into this one because, you know, when we started the season off and we saw Gun, jump into the match, they didn't really put the performance in that we were really expecting. This is what I was waiting for. I was waiting for them to bring in that game. And certainly they're not at the peak. We've certainly seen them perform a lot better, but they are certainly bringing the game now. They are bringing the heat, going toe-to-toe with G3 Tampa right at the foot of that mountain where the high ground was in G3's favor. Gun were able to keep themselves and hold their own for quite some time. So that was really, really impressive and really good to see.
And you can see, as their name says, gamers are definitely uniting nations right here in the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, brought to you by Nordwind Gaming. Let's take a look at the updated overall leaderboards. DK, take us through this one, please.
Right, so you can see the players there from Slime 4KT still holding on to their prime slot right at the top. But of course, G3 with their performances that we've been seeing today managed to move themselves all the way up in towards second place on 99 points. 3 points behind Slime 4KT. Of course, the players from Rain from Hell holding on to the position over in third place on 86 points. Immortalz also coming in with a really strong performance, moving up all the way in towards fourth place on 74. Sincerity still holding on to fifth place. They were 71 points. Gun, again with that performance today, sneaking into that sixth place on 68 points. Undisputed AE holding on to 7th on 64. But then Zero Tolerance as well, coming in onto that first page in 8th place on 63 points.
Yeah, moving into that second page, we've got NFxUNIQUE in 9th place with the 54 points. In 10th place, we've got Influence Rage Africa, 50 points. In 11th, we've got BBC with 49 points. In 12th, we've got Spaza 6 with 46. 13th, we've got the Natural Killers with 44. In 14th, we've got Ultra 6 with 40 points. 15th place, we've got Outsiders Official with 39. In 16th position, we've got Citizens Gaming with 36 points.
And of course, now we continue down that list. Into 17th place, the players there from Rainbow Six Madagascar coming in on 35 points. Spain Africa in 18th on 34. But we also see the Drogons, Aphelion Apex, as well as the Young Thunder team sitting on 34 points. So it's looking pretty tough, especially between 18th and 21st. Then, of course, the players there from the Comfy Cartel sitting over in 22nd on 32. Lag Esports moving into 23rd, of course, on 30 points. We've got the players there from Black Clover in 24th, holding on with 29 points. So it's getting really close, really tough as we move on over to that last final page where we see the players from Fear, of course, over in 25th on 29 points. We've got the Euphoric Gods on 26th place on 27 points. Not Aiming in 27th on 25 points. Nibble sitting in 28th place with 12 points. Blank Legion in 29th on 9. And then, of course, Toxic sitting in 30th on only 5 points. So really tough showing for some of the teams here.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I have a lot of fear for teams who are lacking euphoria, because if they're not gaming, they are not going to be able to nibble and any of the points, and probably will end up with a blank slate and end up with a toxic exit out of the Esports League. Obviously, talking about the teams on the last page of that leaderboard who will not be qualifying for the next round, because as we all know, only the top 24 teams will be making it into the next round of games. Now, guys, and watching, you have seen action, you have seen wins, you have seen winners, and you have seen chicken dinners. It is going to be more action coming tomorrow when we continue the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, obviously with some FIFA 21 games and with 3 maps from PUBG as well. My name is Dr. Sid. I want to give a big shout out to my casters for today, DK and Patchy, who have done an amazing job showing you the real deal and giving you all the stats and all the information about the games that we've played today. So we'll be seeing you guys tomorrow, and all weekend there will be action from the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Northern Gaming. Make sure you are following us on all our socials to stay up to date, and we will see you tomorrow for more action. Good night.